This episode of Texas Barons Podcast is brought to you by our first unofficial sponsor, White Realty. Are you looking to start, move, or expand your business to downtown Wichita Falls? Look no further than White Realty. White Realty owns and operates four of the most prominent buildings in downtown Wichita Falls area: the Hamilton Building, the Energy Center, the Oil and Gas Building, and City National Bank. White Realty has tenants of all kinds: lawyers, counselors, restaurants, and even someone that sells comic books. There's so many different options and floor plans available for any type of business you have. And if that's not enough, or you're not in need of an office space but need a large event room to host parties, proms, or weddings, check out the ballroom on top of the Hamilton Building. Again, that's a White Realty here in Wichita Falls. And don't forget to mention my name, Levi Watts, at your lease signing to take advantage of their referral program and get up to half off your first month's rent. Texas Barons Podcast, let's go.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Today I have Britt, our local hedge witch. We work in the same building, and I've come to be friends with her. Luckily, my wife and you have talked about different things, and then that got us to where we are now. We went to see Selena, your partner, across the street at Loco for Cinco, and then luckily you were there. And we all chit-chatted as, two couples just hanging out while Selena worked on her project. So that became into a new friendship for all of us. So I was telling Selena just how excited I was that I was telling Raquel, I can't believe we have new friends. How cool is new friends? And we were talking about networking. That's a huge thing, and we're going to get to that with your experience. And we were just networking and made business friends, but also friends now. So that's awesome. And then, but we're going to hear of Britt's experiences. She runs and operates. I'm just going to let you tell a quick summary of your business, and then we're going to dive into your experience as a business owner.
Yeah, totally. So I run a business under my own name that I go by. So the Local Hedge Witch, LLC. And the way I describe it is an alchemical apothecary.
Okay.
So essentially it is a place where I create things for your body, mind, spirit, and it is all a very earth-based practice. And the alchemy kind of comes in. How do I explain this? The alchemy kind of comes in the place of okay, how do I layer these things to create the best experience for self-love or for motivation or whatever it is. So that's what I do. And then in layman's terms, I take plants and I turn them into fragrances and incenses and things like that.
Cool. Yeah. And then, so you've given me an oil. Selena gave it to me a week or two ago. And then, but oils aren't your only niche. What all kind of products are you making?
Well, I have some.
Cool.
If you want me to.
Yeah, bring them out and we can just kind of look at.
Natural grocer's bag.
Cool. Love it. It's reusable. Stop using plastic bags, people.
Truly, though. It's 2022. Come on.
Exactly. And if you use paper ones, compost them or put them in your garden or give them to your grandparents. They can use them. So.
Literally, use them as trash bags if you have to.
Yeah,
Goodness
exactly.
gracious.
Exactly.
So I brought, let's see. Okay.
Cool.
Gosh, I'm just throwing things out.
It's fine. Bring it all out.
So, oils are kind of where my interest really was for a long time and still kind of is. And so I kind of do different things. So this one is one I haven't given it to the friend yet. And oh God, it's got dog hair on it naturally.
Dog mom probs.
Anyway, yeah. And so this is, for instance, a custom oil that I made for my friend based on his sun sign, his moon sign, his rising sign, and what the energy is that he's trying to embody this year.
Okay.
So that's what I do for that. So sometimes I just make fun things, like fragrances and stuff. And then this one, this is the sun. And so it's all about radiating warmth and that kind of energy from the sun, that magnetism and charisma. And then it also smells like cookies.
Cool.
So it's
nice.
It's useful. And then it's also an aesthetic thing. I have motivation. And then other things I make, one of them is things like this. And so this is a powder.
Okay.
And it is rose, motherwort, St. John's wort, a lot of stuff that you're probably what the hell is that? And this one specifically is for uncrossing. And so if you, for instance, were to be sometimes like you just feel off and you're like, stuff is like funky and the energy's weird. I don't like this. And you're like, I just need to like clear my space out, whatever. This would be something that you would sprinkle like at your doorways.
Okay.
And sweep it out of your home to essentially say like nothing is coming past here. And then anything that is in here is getting absorbed by the salt in your
You're good. That's cool.
kicking it out of your house.
Okay.
Yeah. So there we go. So sometimes it's like things that are for fun and for fragrance and for feeling good. And then sometimes it's for like a little bit of the harder, like metaphysical, occult uses. And then this is actually a blend for smoking.
Okay. Cool.
So it's like lavender, it's marigold, rose, things like that. So basically I actually go to Casey from Resupply.
Cool. Okay.
She's like my big person, and that's where I stock up on all my herbs and
That's
plants.
like your wholesaler, so to say.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically, and she has a lot of stuff too, but I work with what's there because it's usually the stuff that is most accessible, while still being able to throw in some stuff that's not just like black pepper.
Yeah.
And I usually go there. That's where I get everything from. And basically, it's been a process of learning each plant, its ins, its outs, its elements, its uses, everything.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I gotcha. And that was, you hit on a couple of my big questions I was going to have for you was, are you planting any of this like in your backyard, or you have access to a garden to do any of them, or were you purchasing it from a wholesaler? So that's cool. Casey at Resupply. Shout out, Casey. Hope to see you on here one day because you're awesome and your business is awesome. And just to tell anyone that doesn't know, Resupply in Wichita Falls and in Lawton, I think.
Norman, Oklahoma.
They basically just have all your household goods and more, but in bulk, and they want you to bring your own containers, glass containers, whatever you have, and then buy it in bulk. You measure it out, everything, you pay for it by the weight, and it's just super cool business. And
It is.
I'm really excited to talk to her, and then I need to get shopping, but I've been saving all my glass bottles so we can go buy a bunch of stuff. But that's awesome, and such a good contact to have because they're very involved in downtown, and they seem like cool people.
Oh, Casey's the best.
Cool.
She's one of my, like, we don't talk a lot right now because we're both busy, but
Right.
like she's one of my good friends.
Cool.
Yeah.
What a great contact. But I like all this stuff because, I mean, this is glass. This is mostly paper right here. I don't know what this plastic is, but you could easily rip that off, and it's just like an inkling of the whole package. And then boom, compost,
Right.
This is going to go back into the atmosphere, and then this can go back to the earth. So
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that to a point we live in the economy we live in, and you have to do what you can do.
Right.
But yeah, no, I try. I don't have anything plastic.
I
Is
gotcha.
the best way to
Cool,
put it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that because I've been learning more and more about just microplastics and what they do to your body.
They can be pretty rough.
Yeah, it's not good. and now we're finding them in people's bloodstreams now. And it's freaky. And it's harming children, and it's harming just the
Anyone.
reproductive rates of people. And then so it's a scary thing. So if you can be mindful, which you clearly are, that's awesome.
try.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you touched on you're having to learn each ingredient. Just give me a rundown on like you probably see something in the store and get hyperfixated on something new. How do you see it? And just tell me if you saw something new and something useful to you. Just what's the process? What happens in your brain, and then how do you research that?
Okay, so I think that's a great question. And actually, that happened with something that's in here. So there's like these little yellow-looking flakes, sort of, and that's mistletoe.
Cool.
And I had never, like, other than, using a Christmas wreath, I had never been like, oh, let me go seek out mistletoe.
Right,
Like,
right.
whatever. So Casey at Resupply has mistletoe. And I think it's like a fairly new addition, but I'd seen it a few times and just been like, what would I do with that? Anyway, moving on. And I kept looking at it. And then over time, like 4 weeks ago, something like that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get some. It's a really pretty golden color.
Cool.
And color association is like very big for me. And I was like, okay, it's very golden. It's pretty. It's kind of greenish. Like I can surely do something. So got a little bit of it, brought it back to the office. I have, I should have brought it. It's at my house, or actually it's downstairs. But I have this like massive book of like, here's what this herb everything about this herb, like all its correspondences, and it's like this just textbook
Gotcha.
of plants, gods, goddesses, crystals, energies, times of the year, all this stuff.
Okay.
So
it's a dictionary for herbs type of things. Okay.
I've heard it called an encyclopedia, and I've heard it called an almanac.
Okay.
It's huge.
Encyclopedia would be a better word, not dictionary. Sorry.
I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
Same shit.
Okay.
But I basically just pulled that book out, and I was like, I wonder if mistletoe is even in here. And I was like, I feel like it is. I feel like I've seen it. So I pull up mistletoe, and I'm looking at it, and it's telling me, okay, the planet correspondences are like the sun and Mercury, which Mercury rules over your communication and your thoughts and your mind, and the sun is like your ego, your personality. And I'm like, okay, so this is cool. And then I'm looking at it, and the element that it is associated with is fire.
Okay.
And so typically fire is like action, it's energy, it's passion, it's creative, it's fire, right? And I was like, okay, well, I have been wanting to make something for myself, like an oil that's like motivation. And I was like, I wonder if this would work well for that. So I threw that together, and it's mistletoe, pine, clove, and some green aventurine. And I was like, holy smokes, this feels great.
Cool.
And then now I've started using it in other products and just things that I do that have to do with the sun and fire and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it just kind of is like I wonder if this would do something. Look in that book, do some Googling, hang out with, it sounds weird to say hang out with it for a little bit. Be like, what do you do?
Yeah, just get accustomed to it. Cool.
And then kind of be like, oh, okay, so this is how I feel. Like, this is the vibe I get from it. This is the vibe that like the collective has decided it has. So clearly there's something here. Let me just fucking use it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because I mean, it surely has to take some time to research all this and then get excited about it. It'd be hard to put that much energy into something that maybe you didn't like sunflowers, or maybe you didn't like rose petals, and you're like, man, they say that there's good benefits to this, but I just don't even care about them, you know?
There's a few. I'm trying to think of like one that even like anybody in general would be like, I know what that is. You don't like that? I don't know. Like, I like lavender, but like lavender is one that like everybody knows what lavender is. Okay. Everybody knows what lavender does.
Right.
And I enjoy using lavender in products and in things in my life, but it's not like my like it's everybody's go-to.
Okay.
Like lavender or eucalyptus.
Right. Okay.
And I have both of them tattooed on me. But it doesn't mean that I'm like, yeah, for everything. You know? Like, I'm more of like I like chamomile, which is still pretty mainstream and stuff. But no, I have some stuff in my office that I'm like, I'm probably never gonna use this. Just
interesting.
It doesn't spark anything.
Right. Right. Well, I heard a term or a phrase that weeds are just plants we haven't found uses for yet.
I love that.
And then that just kind of reminds me of the things that you just mentioned in your office that like you won't touch, but you don't have a purpose for them yet, maybe.
I mean, maybe. Some of it has been there a while. Like burdock root. I rarely use burdock root, but every now and then I'm like, oh, this would be good for a stomach thing. You know?
I gotcha.
But I definitely have probably realistically like 20 to 25 plants that I like know pretty well.
Okay.
I can't say everything about them,
right.
but the pretty good gist of them, their energies, what they do, what they're corresponded with, their elements, their gods, their goddesses, all that.
I gotcha.
And those are the kind of the ones that I personally base what I do off of, because it also to me doesn't make sense. It's great if I buy mistletoe and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I love this, let me use it. But it also doesn't make sense to me to be like, okay, well, I have all this wormwood here that I barely use, but I'm just gonna start sprinkling it in things because I need to use it. Like, I don't want to use it if I don't feel like, oh wait, I need to use this for something.
Exactly. And the rate of inflation right now, it's not smart to just be burning any resource that you don't need to.
No.
So I want to get into that with inflation and how it's affected you, but I kind of want to rewind and let's get kind of back to where all this sparked an interest for you. And then I know that these products aren't your only line of business.
Right.
You're also into tarot card readings. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And then, so, I mean, is that the only two things that you're in on right now, or?
for the most part.
Okay. That's your main source of income in your business.
Yes.
Okay.
I have things that are planned that I'm planning on for like August and stuff like that.
We can get to that for sure. I like to talk about and hear people's future or their goals for the year or whatever. So we can get to that. So tell me, in years prior or weeks, months, whatever, where did all this, originate from, your interest in this? Because I can clearly tell that you're passionate about all this stuff. Where did that originate from? And what took the bait first? Was it the card readings or was it the herbal and the oil and the products?
Well, it depends on like where you want to start. Like, do you want to start at the beginning of where I was interested?
Your partner talked about being a little girl and loving to draw as a little girl. So, if you like plants and you're a little kiddo, let's hear about it.
Amazing.
That's what it's all about. Is just hearing the story of the business people that are around us. You know? So let's hear it.
Totally. So I don't even know if it's plants, but from the time I was like 3 or 4, I would just sit out in the grass and in the dirt under a tree and in the sun, like all day long, if you'd let me. And usually my grandparents did, which was lovely. Shout out Peggy and Hayden. They would just be like, oh, you little weirdo, go ahead. But I can remember, and I don't think I really was cognizant of it at the time because I was like a kid. But by the time I was about 5 or so, I had an imaginary friend that now looking back, I know was some other kind of entity of like a land type of spirit, so to speak. That was a real thing I was interacting with. And I was raised in the Methodist church. And I knew that when I would go outside and just sit and like be in the sun, that I'd feel buzzy and I'd feel happy and I'd feel all the things that you're supposed to feel in church. Yeah. And then I would go to church, and I'm not saying anything about the church specifically. I'm talking my experience. Right. But I would go to church even at 6. I can remember being 7 years old and asking my Sunday school teacher, she was like teaching Noah's Ark or. No. It was the whale that swallowed somebody.
Not Noah's. Jonah of Ark?
No, that's Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc, sorry.
There's some whale who swallowed someone.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. We can Google it.
Sorry. But anyway, I remember there's that story, and I remember asking my Sunday school teacher, wait, are you telling me... Like I was like 7, but I was like, that a whale did not swallow someone and then spit them out. Like that didn't but it didn't register. And my family was so like, I can't believe you. Like my grandparents were like, how dare you? But basically it was like, I over time realized I feel things very strongly when I go outside and I'm just still and I'm quiet. And I had a lot of other experiences while growing up of just like feeling like, oh God, I can tell something's watching me in the dark. Like just kind of spiritual type of things. But over time, my spirituality, it faded out for a while. Kind of just went full hard atheist for 3 years or so. And then kind of reconnected and everything. And so right before the pandemic, like mid 2019 or so, I had really started to like, okay, I want a spiritual practice. I don't want anything religious. I know what I feel, but I don't fully understand it. What makes sense? Witchcraft. Okay, let me learn. Okay. And as a child, I would always tell my grandma I like wanted a Ouija board and stuff, and she'd be like, "Hell no!" That is
growing
Satan.
Up in the church, that is a no.
Yeah, but I would like make little potions in the bathroom with like water and shaving cream and glitter and stuff, and then take it to my grandpa and be like, "Look, this will make you pretty," and he'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Dude, you were drawn to this. Yeah. This was a calling as a young kid. That's awesome.
Just taking whatever's around and being like, "Oh, I can do something cool." Oh, and something else I used to do, and then I'll whatever. But
keep talking. That's why we're here.
Something else I used to do. So there's tarot card readings, and then there's also a type of reading, divination that's called charm reading. And basically, it's like someone has a box or something and a bunch of random charms that they've assigned certain meaning to. Shake it up, ask a question, whatever, toss it out. I don't personally do it. I'm not into it. But as a child, I I would go around the house and like have this little glass like tray that my grandma had, and I'd go around her house and I'd get like a bobby pin on the floor and like a this and random stuff and like a penny or something, go steal some from my grandma, and then shake it all up and then dump it out and be like, what does it mean? Like I would just do it.
Okay. How'd you even know about that at a young age?
I didn't.
Okay.
There's a lot of people end up doing stuff like this and getting like drawn into it over time. But no, I just thought it was, I've always been able to look at an object and feel like there's something to it. Like it's got its own vibe or its own energy, kind of, if you want to call it that. But I'd see a penny and be like, this is the coolest penny I've ever seen. I feel like this penny means good luck. And then I'd find something else and be like, this is the coolest whatever I've ever seen. It means this. I don't know. I just did it.
I gotcha.
Naturally.
Yeah.
But then, so like mid 2019, I started like studying witchcraft specifically and being
And is that what they consider paganism?
No, they're different.
Okay.
But yes and no.
Okay.
I think like if you're not in the community, like
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But otherwise, no, they're completely different
Okay.
things.
Yeah, I didn't know. I'm outsider, and so I'm here to ask questions
Yes,
from
I love it.
people that don't know, so we can get the info out.
No,
So,
I love it
cool.
because honestly, like no one who's not witchy like asks anything about
Okay.
it. They're just kind of like, oh, that's like weird that you do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And no one asks questions, so it's cool.
Yeah, so here we are.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Yeah, but so I started kind of getting into witchcraft a little bit and or a lot of it, I guess, with a friend of mine, and started getting, I don't know, just starting to feel way more connected to myself more than ever, more aware of my own thoughts and my own actions. And just it brought a sense of like, not like I can control what happens to me, nothing like that, but it brought a sense of I at least have some power to do what I can.
Yeah.
And in a society when you're like, I mean, real talk, you're raised as like a woman in the South in a very conservative family, and it's very like you just obey what your parents say and that's it. You don't question.
Keep sweet, pray, and obey. Yeah.
Not that. My family was not. No. But you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like,
yes. I
it's
know
just
exactly where you're coming
You
from.
do.
Yeah.
It's a very specific type of family, and you don't really argue back, and you just kind of
You do what you're told to do, kind
yes.
of thing.
And I wasn't like I have two step siblings, and they were very much like, okay, like I have my own sense of self. I didn't really develop that until much older. And so I started being able to like, I don't know, understand what I actually stood for, what I on like really deep levels, and felt connected to myself. And then in like early 2020, late 2019, I got my first ever Oracle deck. So it's like tarot, a little different, but it's the same concept.
Okay.
And I was like nervous about it. And I remember being like, because you're raised being like, oh my God, it's going to be evil.
Right,
It's going to talk to demons, but it's just paper.
Okay.
You know? But I got one, and it was like based on animals and stuff. And so Selena was like, oh, that's pretty. And we would kind of like, I'd use it and try to understand like what the messages were that I was getting. And then a couple months later, I was like, I'm going to try a tarot deck. And I remember Selena, my partner, being like, you're going to have a tarot deck in this house. Like, what? Because it was so, and I was nervous about it too, because I still didn't really know what I was doing.
Right.
So over time, kind of to your point, you asked, like, did it start with the products of the tarot and stuff? I think, so I started doing products before I offered tarot.
Okay.
But I think, for me, it was, I don't know, even when I started offering some products, it was more like, oh, I posted something on TikTok about these candles that I made, and now like 4,000 people saw it, and they're like, would you sell these? And I'm like, I will, I guess.
Yeah.
And a lot of other people were doing that, like Etsy, metaphysical shops at the same time. So like late 2019, no, it was late 2020 that I started it. That's right.
Okay.
And so, wow, yeah, like a year and a half ago. So anyway,
Everything blends together. That's what we were
yeah.
talking about last week, is with COVID, it just, everything kind of mushed.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep like my timeline straight. But yeah, so I had just started doing like my products and stuff like that, like at the end of 2020.
And were you doing them just for yourself only, or
At
like?
first, yes.
Okay, cool. So you're just kind of experimenting with what made you happy or what you liked.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you liked from a young age mixing stuff together. So you're figuring out as an adult now, like what was benefiting you. So cool.
Yeah.
When did it turn into anybody offering you money for this?
So it was like late November 2020. That I had some TikTok of something that I posted and it kind of blew up a little bit, not a lot, but like a little bit. And it was like some little spell candles. Like I had made like got like a little tea light candle and then put like jasmine and lavender on it with like a little amethyst and stuff. And I like posted about it and people were like, do you sell these? And I was like, nah, but I can.
Cool.
So I made an Etsy.
Is that what went viral or is that another video?
Oh, that's another.
Okay, we can get to that one. So, okay, cool. So you had good success on social media and then kind of your community, so to say, encouraged you to start selling it. Cool.
Yeah.
That you kind of fell into entrepreneurship.
Oh,
then.
yeah.
That's interesting.
So earlier in 2020, as we all did, we all questioned our lives and we were all like,
what are we doing here?
What the hell do I want to do? Am I happy? And I had, for a long time, I had been like, I think that like life coach was the only word I knew, but I was like, I want to help people. I don't think I want to teach in the school system as it exists where it's just constantly not doing anything for kids.
Right.
I don't think I want to do this forever because it doesn't feel like I'm doing anything. Life coach, maybe. And I kind of got into that for a second. Do you know who Alex Honnold is? He's a climber.
Is he?
He did the Dawn Wall, or not the Dawn Wall. He did the
one
Free
in Yellowstone.
Free Solo, yeah.
And he has a Netflix documentary.
Yeah,
is
that's
he
him.
the guy that cut his finger off?
No.
Okay.
That's a different guy.
Okay, I've seen him,
But-
but I maybe not. Maybe not.
But anyway, his wife, girlfriend, partner, I don't know, is a life coach. And I got a phone call with her. Like I scheduled a phone call and I talked to Sonny and she told me a little bit about it and how much she loves it. And I was like, okay, this feels like it's more on the right path, but still I don't want to feel like I'm someone's source of advice. And so then, anyway, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
And then, so I was having a little bit of success just like selling little oils and little like jewelry I was making for myself, like little spell jar jewelry.
All on Etsy or kind of
all on Etsy.
Okay. Was that very hard? I don't know the world of Etsy. I think I've bought a t-shirt on accident from there. But kind of tell me about, is it hard to set up a shop, or I mean, is it just kind of like making a Facebook? What's the experience with Etsy?
Making an Etsy.
And would you recommend it to someone else? Oh
No.
gosh, okay, good learning lesson here.
Etsy actually, a lot of the people who sell on Etsy just went on, like did a huge strike. Like a month or 2 months ago or so, because like the seller fees are so ridiculous.
Gotcha. So do they add a tax on top of yours, or do they take from?
Well, so yes, all of the above.
Okay.
Basically, it's like you have obviously listing fees. Like there's normal fees that you would have, but then like your seller fees per item that you sell is like outrageous, and they will hold your money until they don't want to hold it. And
oh my gosh. Sounds like a bad farmer's market.
it's pretty tough. And I think a lot of I've like researched about that and stuff, because when I first got on it, it was okay. The seller fees were still bad, but Etsy was kind of always, I think, supposed to be like the handmade whatever market.
Right.
And it started to kind of just get so saturated with everybody. I mean, excuse me, I'm saying this completely just without judgment, but like, we all went through COVID. And so we all were like, well, shit, like I have something I can do. I like it. Maybe I can monetize it.
Right.
Because we live in this society and you got to make your money.
Have to. Yeah.
So
part of the beast.
It got so oversaturated that basically like the fees cracked down. It was just bad. So I would not recommend it.
Okay,
I would definitely recommend
good
like
to know.
Shopify or something.
Okay.
But no, it's not hard to set up. It's not even hard to maintain really. It's more like the fees and stuff. But yeah, basically you set everything up and you add your items and the listing and the like how much you charge for shipping and everything, and then people will bite or not.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Do you have your own website?
I do.
Okay. Do you sell off there?
Yeah.
Do you use Squarespace?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
use
Okay.
Squarespace.
I just set that up with your partner's art on there that
I love
I'm now running a consignment, I think is the right word for it. And anyways, I've experienced that a little bit. We haven't I I haven't announced to anybody, so no one even knows to go look at it yet. But I haven't got the full experience. But I set up my shop on there, and then I'm curious to see how well that goes. But I don't have any good intel besides just setting it up, and it was super easy. But I do commend you on you went to Etsy, because that's just kind of probably your first Google search, or maybe the first thing you figured out to go to, and then you learned that, hey, I do not like my business being treated like this. So you adapt and overcame, found something that worked better for you. So cool.
Well,
I like all that, and it just takes that experience to know that I don't like this one. I can do a little more work on my end to set up a shop on someone else's website to benefit me better and my business. So cool.
Well, and also, to be completely honest with you, I was only on Etsy for like 5 or so months, and then I actually made, it's like an expired domain now, but I made a website under my old name and different branding and stuff, and it did not do great. It just didn't. And so I actually shut that domain down and went back to Etsy for several months. Okay. And so it was just, was it February or January of this year that I went fully onto Squarespace, but I was doing both for a bit.
Cool.
Yeah. And that was a lot.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up with everything, especially, you know, for the past couple of years, you were a middle school teacher, correct?
Yeah.
And so you weren't selling stuff or worrying about marketing or who's taking money from you.
Yeah.
You probably were. It's probably the government that you're worried about, but that was your taxes, not your actual, you know, I made this, now I'm selling it, and now someone's going to pay me X amount, and then someone's going to take money from that. And I already have to pay the government that I was already paying.
Right.
So
Trust me, I am all about, like, sure, I will pay my amount of taxes. I have no problem doing it. But that's the problem. It's like, I have no problem doing that, and I have no problem paying minor listing fees, but I do have a problem when it's like you're basically taking 40% of my income or so.
Yeah.
I have a big problem. But yeah, no, tried to leave Etsy, and it didn't work, and it didn't stick, so I had to go back to it.
And I hate that.
There's a lot of it's just so much. I mean, we were talking about this before we got on here, but it's so much like trial and error and just like figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're doing
Great
at any
point.
time.
Great point. Exactly. I was telling Britt before we got in that I had almost a panic attack because I didn't know how to properly erase all the stuff that was on my memory cards for the cameras. And then I messed it up, had to reformat it, but you just don't know until you know.
You don't know until you know.
It takes you getting out there and doing it, messing it up, and Googling how to fix my mess up or whatever the case is. Yep. And that's entrepreneurship in a whole. I mean, I could probably close the whole podcast right there.
All right, it was good to see you.
But yeah, that's what it takes. And if you let those things like Etsy just swallow you up and chew you out, which they will if you allow it to, then it's just a part of entrepreneurship to figuring out what works for you, for your business and your family. That's a huge one.
It is hard.
And then we talked about it with artists, but it goes down to contractors or people that hand make their own products. Like, you can't sell yourself short. Because, I mean, you got a light bill, you have your mouth to feed, Selena, and all your puppies and kittens. Like, you got a whole family to worry about.
Literally.
So you got to take care of you, and Etsy is doing plenty fine. Without your shop on there, they're going to survive. So
yeah, Squarespace doesn't so like with shout out Squarespace. I'm not sponsored, but you know, I could
but
be.
let's get some. Yeah.
No, but with Squarespace, you know, obviously I have to pay for my domain, and I have to pay for the commerce add-on. Like, I have to pay those things. Right. Squarespace is not cheap, and I'm happy to pay those. Yeah. But Squarespace doesn't then turn around out of my own commerce and take money. Yeah. Like, it doesn't, there's no seller fees. It's just like, okay, you pay X amount per year to sell things on our website. And that's that. And then I'm like, okay, great. I'll pay one fee and then be done.
Yep,
you know?
That's how I think about it. I downloaded some video editing, and there are several different options out there, and all of them are almost the exact same, but their business models are all hugely or vastly different. And I went with one that was very expensive up front, but one-time cost, and that's it. And that's what I like to do. Most people had more and higher rated reviews for Final Cut Pro that I went with, but I wasn't going to have to keep up with a monthly payment that never ended. And then whether, you know, it was just 10 or 15 bucks, but in several months, I would already pay more than what I paid the flat one-time payment for that. So
Makes
you
sense.
got to learn what works for you. And I mean, if you're a humongous company just shelling out, $100 bills, then maybe a monthly subscription is not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But we're sitting here as two small business owners
Right.
talking about small business and entrepreneurship. So we're just, we got to learn the keys to make it work for you and yours.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but it's part of it. If it was easy, then everyone would do it, right?
Yeah.
So-
I never thought I would, but here I am.
Here you are. And then, so I kind of mentioned it earlier. We got completely off the timeline,
Oh, well.
but you were a teacher, and I mean, it's not an easy job. I'm not going to say that, but it was a
Stable job.
Yeah. And you knew what you're going to make week after week. You knew what your retirement looked like, yada, yada, yada. You knew that X amount of years in meant this amount of retirement, when you could
Right.
retire. What made you take the leap of faith?
I never wanted to do it forever.
Yeah. And you have to go to school for that, right?
Well, you have to go to college, and then you have to get I went through an alternative certification program,
Okay.
which took a year. So my degree is in wildlife and fishery sciences.
Cool.
Not that.
Yeah, but that's
I
cooler than
taught
being
science.
a teacher. Okay.
So
So it fits in.
It worked, yeah. And I have lived a few different lives throughout my short life. And so my early to mid 20s, I was working in a completely different field. And then through that, I was like, man, I'm getting to work with kids for a week at a time and get them jazzed on science. That's awesome. So what could happen if I could do that for a whole year? And that kind of made me get into teaching, but I already knew. I was like, I have ADHD and I get bored. I was like, I know that I will put everything of my heart and soul into this, but I know it's not going to be forever.
Right.
So when the time came that I was and I had already kind of played on and off with leaving teaching 3 years in.
Okay.
But when the time came when I was like, okay, I actually have something now that I could maybe try with, it was just all right, that's fine. I'll go.
Cool.
Now.
And then I've kind of collected this from both of y'all's stories. Did you end up quitting during COVID when all the schools shut down? So did you go back? Mm-hmm. Okay. What was that like?
Oh, God.
And were you up and running with your Etsy at that time? Okay, so you're solely teaching. And then, so what time frame was all this and the products coming into play with your teaching? Yeah.
So my, 2020, I taught when we all got ordered to stay at home. I taught from home.
Doing all the online
stuff with the kids that I
felt bad for you teachers.
Well, actually, it really wasn't even real talk. The people up at the top of the district, I felt bad for because the curriculum, I guess more like the curriculum specialists in that one time, I was like, dang, because they were having to crank out content to just send to everybody. And then I don't know, I heard a lot of people being like, well, the work doesn't even make sense and stuff. And agreed, it's frustrating, but I was also think about the situation they were in. They were just okay, thousands of kids are now at home and we have to get work to all of them legally. So I did that and then, had the summer, and that was it was during the springtime, summertime that I started getting more into tarot and oracle, and I'd had readings and stuff done and I'd played around with it before, but this was the first time that I was I'm owning a deck. I'm working on it, and I'm talking 4 or 5 hours a day. I'm putting everything into this. I was really fixated. So then I go back to school after summer 2020. So it's the 2020 to 2021 school year. And I was already thinking that might be my last year of teaching, but I was I don't know what I would do on the other side of it. So maybe not. Maybe the life coach. I don't know. And so then it was around late November of my last year of teaching. So that's when I was okay, I can maybe sell a few things. I used to make silly jewelry and stuff. I thought it was cute. Things like that. And so it was we had COVID, we'd had the summer, and then just a few months later, I was oh, I'm actually making a little bit of money. And then my life blew up in January, because in January, I posted a TikTok.
Good old reliable TikTok.
I posted a TikTok and I said, I would never do this again, but I literally posted a TikTok and was okay, I I think at that point I had like I'd read for Plenty of Friends and stuff like that. And I think a couple of like internet mutual friends, but I hadn't like read for people in general. But I was like, you know what? And I made this video and I was basically like, tarot is expensive. I know that. For the next 24 hours, I will do $1 readings. So just like here, my money socials are in my bio, cash out me $1 and I'll do, and I thought maybe I'd get like 50, 1,000, 1,000.
Three zeros?
$1,000 Yeah. Like I walked out of, so I posted it that morning before I went to work. And I didn't check my TikTok all day until lunchtime. And then I checked it and it had like 20,000 views. And I was like, what? And then then I'm like looking at my Venmo and my Cash App and it's just like $, $3, $2, $1. And when I say I made $1,000 in like a few hours, I'm not exaggerating. And I was like, okay. So now I'm like, I have to do 1,000 readings. Oh my God. So there wound up being like 50 or so, at least probably 100 people that I just like sent them their $1 back.
Okay.
I was like, no.
Can't handle all this.
Yeah, because also I thought it was going to be like a few people. So I'm going to respond to their comment with a video. I thought it was going to be like max 50, max. And it was not. So basically I was like, okay, so I have no form of like, there's no like paper trail really. I don't know who these people, like I said, include your TikTok handle, but they didn't. So who the hell are these people sending me money? And so then I was like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this again. I don't know why. I was like, I think it was more the rush of like, oh my God, something's going right. Like, okay. And now I'm like, no, back up. But at the time I was just so excited and I was sad that my last year of teaching wasn't my hardest. But in some ways it was just because I was like kind of feeling, a lot of times administrators' hands are tied to a point where like you're having consistent issues with like a student and you physically don't feel comfortable coming to school and you are one of their best teachers and they tell you that's why we gave you this student because you're the best teacher. And I'm like, right, but they make me uncomfortable. Yeah. I can handle them, but
and
that
they're
doesn't
middle
mean
school age.
Yeah.
So that's, boys are getting, everyone's going through puberty and boys are becoming men, so to say.
Seventh grade.
Then a lot of emotions going through. So yeah, a bad kid can really be a bad kid. It's not like an unruly second grader.
Oh, no. And it's something physically as well. And it's not just a boy. Like it could be, there's like a few students that I can like think back on and I'm like, wow, they really gave me trouble. For the most part, even in the moment, it's like, meh, it's fine.
Cool.
But yeah, no, like, I mean, I had kids who were like over 6 feet. Because they're 13 years old. Yeah, and so, yeah, I was already in a really bad place and was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. And I posted that video and then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to open up 500 more $1 reading slots on Etsy. Why? I don't know. Those sold out in like 2 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
Basically, it was like, all right, I've got like 1,500 tarot. That's a lot of tarot readings.
Yeah, and my question was, I'm sure they all are different, but how long is a normal standard, so to say, reading take you?
Well, in that case, just, oh my God, let me get it out. Well, I do them weekly, like on my stories. It's different if I'm sitting down talking to somebody.
Yeah.
But like a social media one that I do, on average, it's like 5 to 10 minutes per. But if you think 5 minutes times 1,500,
yeah,
I mean,
that's a lot of time.
It was a lot of time. And basically the way I was delivering them was like sending a picture of the card, like, here's the card, here's my interpretation. Boom. That's it. Bye.
Okay.
And then I wouldn't follow up with anything else.
Gotcha.
And then,
I mean, they paid $1 for it. They can't, be looking for an entire reading.
But people, dude, I had people, like, if I accidentally skipped them, would, like, comment on TikTok videos publicly and be like, you stole from me. You never did. And I'm like, it's, okay, first of all, I'm sorry. I really genuinely, I'm never one to be like, just get over it. But in my mind, I was also like, it's $1 and you are coming at me with like $1,000 balls right now. Like, you better chill.
Yeah.
Don't be rude. And I think that was actually probably like my first lesson and from that I gained I think I went from like 1,000 followers or so, 3,000 to like 24,000.
Cool. Okay.
On
So you
TikTok.
got some real social media movement
Yeah,
then.
just on TikTok, which is kind of easy to do. It's not, Instagram's hard and stuff, but that happened. And I think that was the first time I realized I can't sell myself short like this, because I was like, I love doing this. And so by the time it took me like a month to get through all of them. But when it did, I was like, okay, I feel, from the feedback I'd gotten, I feel very, very well equipped to like do this professionally. And I will not be charging $1.
Yeah, there you go. And all the experience you get from 1,500 different readings.
Yeah,
so
it's
did
a lot.
you get through 1,500 of them? Oh my gosh. I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it was all the time. Ask Selena. It was like anytime I had free time at home, it was just like boom, boom, like constantly.
And then, I mean, all the time isn't just you reading, taking a picture, but it's you learning who this person is, getting all their info, doing the reading, and then you have to upload it. Like, if there is any communication at all, like, so it's not just the 5 or 10 minutes to do the reading, you know, there's so much more into it. And it's not worth $1.
No. And also learning, I think that's something else. Actually, Selena is the one who kind of taught me this, but she's like, I basically, real talk, I feel like my tarot education, if it were normally spread out, real talk, it probably would have been like a 2 to 3 year long span. Okay. I hyper fixated for months. I'm talking like I would wake up at 5 a.m, do my morning routine, get ready for school, and then for an hour and a half before I went to work, I'd just practice tarot.
Wow.
And I'd study, and I'd come home, and me and Selena would like spend a little time together, and I'd be like, okay, I got to practice more. Like I spent so long getting good at it and learning it and understanding it and connecting to myself. And I got to the point where I was like, I can't sell that for $1.
Right,
I can't sell all those hours of study and practice. And that's not $1.
You know who you sound like explaining all that is someone like Michael Jordan that hyperfixates on whether it be basketball or golf, whatever that dude is in. That's how the greats are born, is sacrificing, whether it be your dating relationship or your work life or whatever, or your life, and just burying your head and doing it. But I mean, that's how the greats are created. So I mean, sometimes people do that and then they just
it's not great,
burn out, and then they don't turn out to be anybody. But I mean, that's a lot to take on, and it's a lot to hyperfixate on anything. And then but luckily it was something that you're capitalizing on and making money on. And
unfortunately,
in the future,
but I mean, it's like, in a perfect world, would I have to charge for this exchange of energy? No, but like I do. We live in capitalism.
We have to.
I gotta do it. But no, it worked. It worked out well. And so that was like the first time anything really blew up. And then I posted another TikTok that hit. I think that is the one that hit like 1 million views.
Cool.
And it was me kind of like explaining an interaction I had with somebody based on like their $1 reading where they acted like a jerk. And that video, I posted it in the morning before I went to work, and then I checked it at lunch, and it was at like, I think at that point about 300,000 views. But you also have to understand, this is something that I feel like people don't think about a lot if you're trying to become a creator in it, which I really wasn't. I mean, you have to have like a little bit of like self-righteousness to go online and be like, look at me. But I wasn't like, let me be a creator. But between those two videos, you know, I don't think there was like a ton of real time. I think it was like 3 weeks, but there's like dozens of videos that I posted in between that nothing happened. Like more hashtags or less hashtags, or more relevant, less relevant. But that's the one that people thought was funny, and they shared it, and it took off. And after that, that's kind of like when everything, because then, you know, people are coming to me for longer readings, and then also they're like, oh, you sell things too? Wow. So that was it was like spring 2021 that I was like, okay, I think that this is something I can do. And so I resigned. Like, I put in my resignation on my birthday.
Nice. Happy birthday to you.
I put in my resignation, and I told Selena, even before I felt good about it, I was just like, I can't do that. She also was like, you can't keep teaching. Like, this is destroying your mental health. But I was like, I just got to try it. I just got to try it out. I still get paid from the school district until August. So, and she was like fully in support, and I was like, all right. And then there it went.
Yeah, you hit a bunch of topics right there. And then so help me get back to having a supportive partner. But you mentioned that you were getting people's eyes on you from the reading type of media that you're putting out, but then they found out that you're selling stuff too. And that is a newer type of business model to get them in. For whatever reason, being a podcast or YouTube or just being someone cool on, Instagram, but then selling them something. And then that's cool. You kind of accidentally fell into that too.
Oh, it's all accident.
Yeah.
It really was all.
You're a product of just, your business is a product of accidents but great success too.
Oh my God. Yeah. I always told myself, and also my own family would be like, our last name is just unlucky. We're just unlucky, whatever.
Man.
So and I think I carried that. And to be real, I am like a very clumsy person. I am very forgetful. So in terms of luck, like I tend to forget about good things happening. And I'm like, oh crap, I broke this thing. And like, that's bad because like I needed it for so in those little ways, like I guess I have bad luck, but that was like an experience that made me realize like, who the hell made me believe I had bad luck?
Right.
I clearly don't, because I've never won anything in my life. I've never been the best at anything in my life. I've wanted to be, but it's always just kind of been like, no, you're being too spoiled. You're being too self-centered, like calm down. And now I'm like, oh, okay. No, I'm not unlucky.
Yeah.
This is a very lucky thing to have happened. So,
for sure. I mean, that's awesome. And congrats to you for your newfound success with it. And thank God social media does have a good side to it. Sometimes it can be healthy, but then on other parts, which I don't think a whole lot of people, maybe they do, maybe they don't, but going into business, you just think that, oh, my friends or family, whoever is going to be supportive, at least I'm going to have them, or at least your core group or whoever it's going to be. And then you get bad experiences from people that just paid $1. And I've heard that the less something costs, the least people can respect it.
Yep.
And some dude posted a video, it's been years, I think, since I've seen this, but he posted it, I think, his Airbnb for free. And then it went viral and it booked out like the entire year. And then all these people, I think he said about half of them just canceled or just no-showed or whatever because they didn't respect it at all.
No.
And then once he put a normal fee on it, every single spot was being committed and he got his rent money every single time. And he was like, it's just a good explanation to, if people don't have to pay that much, they don't care about it. But like good analogy here is Raquel just bought new couches. And I don't let anything happen to those because I know she worked hard for that money to spend it on something nice for all of us to enjoy. So those boys don't eat around those couches.
Absolutely not.
But that just, you got to apply that to you and your business, and then know that people are going to respect you. And most of the time they're going to respect you when you're respecting yourself. And then I've heard also the saying that, when something seems too good to be true, it normally is, even though like you could have been doing your absolute best, but then them thinking this is $1, this isn't going to be worth a crap.
Right.
But you could have been giving your absolute all the entire time. And that's just kind of a mindset people can get.
Yeah.
But say you jacked it up to $1,000. I don't know what your price is,
God,
but if you did, they'd be like, I better be getting a good experience out of this. So that's just something that I've learned talking with other people and their experiences, and then better pricing. You normally get better customers that respect you out of it.
Yes. When you raise your prices, you raise your standards.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like I said, they want a good experience. It holds you higher accountable because you're like, oh crap, someone's about to pay me $1,500 to do their road or fix their driveway, whatever.
I got to do a good job.
Exactly. So everything,
I want to do a good job.
Your life kind of and your business elevates when you pull yourself out of the weeds,
Yeah.
And then it takes yourself learning. I don't want to make the weeds money. And I don't want to live this life. People are being mean to me for just $1,
For no reason, yeah.
So
like, y'all don't know me.
Exactly. And I don't know you. Why are you being mean to me?
Literally.
And so that's a hard thing to even think of before you go into business, because you're so excited about going into business, or a lot of people are, that you're kind of on cloud 9 and riding on adrenaline. You don't want to consider all the ugliness that can come into it, but that ugliness exists in every avenue that you, in any business you can go into. it exists, and it's just something that you have to adapt and overcome.
You have to grow some thick skin.
Yeah.
And you will be the villain.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah.
Like you can, there's no getting around it. You will never not piss someone off.
Right. And you mentioned something when we were hanging out the other day. You were like, you can think this way, you can live your life, you can be an activist, you can support the right things that you're passionate about. And it's still either it's going to drive you crazy, or people not seeing things, like-minded or taking your opinion into consideration, or they're just, you're just going to feel disrespected for someone not like admiring your work or being appreciative of your work or whatever. So you can do everything right, and someone's still going to,
someone's still going to be mad.
Kool-Aid or whatever.
But literally, you're like from those that $1 reading thing. I think I still have, I would say at least 10% of my clients that I have, my regular clients, like got a $1 reading with me and were like, wow, you actually gave me so much more information than I expected. Dope. I love you now. And now I read for them once a month or once every few months.
And do some of those people buy products from you also? Yeah. That's awesome.
I have some who do both, and then I have some who like show up only for tarot, and then like if I have sales, they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll get some of that, and then vice versa.
Tell me, and I still want to get to the supportive partner, but tell me, do you have a good way of like locking them into always staying engaged with you? Like sign up for my newsletter and get X amount off, or do you do anything like that? Because you have recurring customers. Is it just by luck and them liking their experience with you, or do you stay engaged with them to keep them locked in?
So yes and no to both. So basically, I've tried to do a newsletter, and at one point I had like a text newsletter that I was going to try out. I just don't keep up with it. Right. I just don't. But what I do is I don't know. I mean, this is the only way, but I'm very, very, very interactive on Instagram, which I've had a few, this sounds so cringy to say. So like I've had a few followers tell me, but anyway, I've had a few people who follow me tell me without me asking or mentioning anything, like, hey, I really appreciate you. You talk to people more than other creators your size or bigger or smaller do. Like you interact with your followers and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's why I'm not doing this to just make money. I'm doing this because if somebody is like, if I'm posting about me and like my partner and our dogs and someone responds and is like, oh my God, that's so cute. I'm not going to just be like, simple person, ignore. Yeah. No, I'm going to respond and talk to you and get to know you. So I feel like most of my clientele really, it's like every few months I get a boom of new people, but for the most part, it's like my core clientele over and over and over.
That's good. That's good. So really you've locked in a good crowd, and then hopefully that'll just grow and grow, and they'll tell their friends, and slowly, maybe they'll start buying stuff for their friends, and then
that happens.
Their friends cut their friend out and just go straight to you. So
no, that actually I have one client who also Selena is her, she's one of Selena's clients too. And she will order, make 5 orders in a day every few months. And it's like, she'll have it'll be like from Emma, but then it's shipping to this person or this person. And now one of her best friends just follows me, and I just got an order from her. And I was like, oh, okay.
Heck yeah. That's awesome though. Yeah. That's how word of mouth works. And then it's paying off good for you. So tell me about, I'm not familiar with shipping or receiving the, from your online store, getting the order. How does that go down? And then with each thing is different because things way different for the mail. So what's your experience with that? I'm not familiar with it at all.
Yeah. Well, it used to be different. So on Etsy, there is a way that you can basically account for every item and its weight. And then connect that to the USPS shipping.
And did you have to buy a food scale or something to?
Well, I had a food scale for other stuff that I do magically, I guess. But so I've used that. Okay. Yeah. But basically, with Etsy, that was one thing. Shipping was very cheap and it was very easy.
Okay.
And so basically you would put in how much each item weighs, when you list it. And then when people build their cart and make it calculates the shipping.
Okay. It was you already had to put that in while you listed that. Okay.
Yes. But something that Etsy does not account for, obviously, because what they do is they charge the person unless you list a shipping price, which through Etsy I never did, they just charge the person shipping only, like not enough for you to cover like your packing materials and your blah blah blah. And so now what I do is I will like wrap each product, blah blah blah, box it all up, and then I'll just, when it comes time to do the label through Squarespace, I'll weigh it.
Okay.
And then that's how I pay shipping. But I also just now I charge a flat fee.
Okay.
Because shipping, I mean, postal rates are going up. And I charge a fee that's it's $8. And I find that most things that I ship are between like $5 and $10.
Okay.
So it kind of balances out.
I gotcha.
And even it's like, even if it only physically costs me $5 to ship someone's order, that's still the paper, that's still the packing material, that is still the time that it takes to do it all. So $8.
I gotcha. So this would be pretty durable. You could get by with almost no protection on it. But I mean, tell me, do you have to keep a box full of boxes ready to ship out and like protective, whether it be paper or peanuts or whatever?
Yeah.
You keep all that on hand?
Yeah, it's in my
Nice.
thing. Yeah, it's I have boxes that fold, like 6x6x4 boxes that fold up, and then I have larger ones that I tape together. I have craft paper, like padded mailers.
Okay.
And I have this like roll thing that's basically like this stretchy accordion puffy paper.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I have all that like in my space just all the time.
Cool. Yeah, I listen to, Chip and Joanna that do the house flipping stuff in Waco. They were talking about one of their shops and shipping. They were using maybe cardboard or shredded cardboard. I don't know, something that ended up being super heavy. So they're way overpaying because they wanted to do the right thing. And by using paper products, something compostable.
Paper is heavy.
And then they got into peanuts and they're like, okay, well, this is way lighter. It makes it easier to ship. But then they're like, think about what we're doing to the environment. We're just filling landfills full of peanuts that are basically styrofoam,
Yeah.
And then they had to go through that process of figuring out. They found some sort of paper product.
Is it crinkle paper?
Maybe.
That's
I
what
can't
I
remember.
use.
I think there's even... we didn't make it at Sealed Air in Owl Park, but Sealed Air makes those big bubble wraps. Like you get from Amazon packages, big puffy ones.
Or it's just like a big bubble.
Yeah, and then just a row of them. But I mean, still, that's plastic. And so you just, hopefully everyone is getting on this same train. Like you just feel like a piece of crap for using so much plastic and stuff.
I have to just say really quickly, I feel my heart like hurts when you say that. But the reason why is because like I had all those feelings about the environment and I still do, but like I started having those when I was like 17.
Yeah.
And I know that like lately you've just kind of started being like, wait, I care about this. I care about this. And you're like, oh my God.
You'll get overwhelmed with caring too much.
And I feel like I don't want to sound like a boomer, and I don't think I will really, but I said it. I don't care.
Sound like Hank Hill over here.
No, but I think like as I got older, I started realizing that like there comes a point where when you're trying to be as minimalist or as waste free as possible, that like it's not sustainable.
Right. It's very hard to do.
It's not sustainable. Sometimes it's not affordable or accessible. And then sometimes it's technically sustainable, but then you look around your house and you're like, I don't have like anything that looks nice or anything that I like because I'm so focused on doing the right thing. So I feel like as you get older, you like settle into, or like, I guess once the like urgency, that like intense urgency of an issue wears off, you need to maintain that urgency, but you have to just do it in a way where you're like, I gotta live.
Right, that
like,
works with your lifestyle.
Yes, like if I accidentally forget my bags and I go to the store, but I have got like 20 things, yes, I'm gonna get plastic bags because what else am I gonna do?
Exactly.
Used to, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't, like I have to care. But then it's like, you just think about it and you're like, that's so silly. Like you just got to do what you got to do. You do your best, and then you kind of have to just go with it from there because...
I agree.
Yeah.
You just got to find out what works for you, and then, you can't just stress and kill yourself over worrying so much. I got into... I've heard of it before, and then basically completely forgot about it, but there is a type of mushroom or fungus that will eat plastic. and then
not what I thought you were gonna
they've
say.
harnessed in on this and then grow the mushroom itself. We could Google it. It'd take too
Right.
much time. But there is an artist across the street at 9th Street right now being that gets her 3 months or whatever there. And one of her art pieces on display is she bought that fungus or mushroom and has a bunch of plastic in there, and it's actively eating that plastic. And then so she has a whole
I need to go look at that.
yeah, saying about, or not a saying, but a whole speech about it, and she kind of talks about it. Well, I got to looking into it because all about the mushrooms, all about the composting, all
They're pretty
about
crazy.
yeah, fermenting almost everything, which this new day and age has got us away from, and we
Yeah.
need to be clean and Dawn dish soap everything and hand sanitizer, but when you realize like what Native Americans did or people before them, like they learned how to use their natural resources around them, whether it be, you know, fermenting their fruits and vegetables and making alcohol or making different things. And then, you know, they killed animals and ate actual meat, but they stored it in ways.
Yeah.
And whether it be dry aging with letting the bacteria protect the meat itself, whatever, you know,
Yeah.
there's ways that we have been trained by this new day and age to get away from because it's bad, so to say, or these certain bacterias are bad. But really, people survived way before us not having plastic bags and not having Dawn dish soap or hand sanitizers and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see these new businesses like kind of bring that into modern day usage. But anyways, that lady's display is super cool. I looked into buying some of those mushrooms, and they're kind of hard to come by. And one side I found, it was for like a tiny little bit of that fungus was like for $500. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not that heavily invested. I can reduce and reuse other ways to get around that. Maybe one day I can get a mushroom farm of some sort.
Maybe,
but not that one. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, you can just kill yourself over wanting to do the right thing. So
I agree.
You got to just figure out what works for you, your business, your family, whatever. And then, because you're not going to solve these world problems.
No.
And that's what I get on about all the time is like, we can do so much. You could buy solar, or you could, you know, compost every single thing that you have and go zero waste. But then people in Brazil still back their trash trucks straight up to the river and dump whole semi
I mean,
trucks.
that happens in the U.S. too.
Yeah, and we have factories here just dumping straight into rivers, whether it be waste, whatever. So it's just part of it. But I do like, I'm not like a super hippie or anything, but I am in a new world of business to where I'm not in several different huge motor vehicles just pumping out black smoke and stuff like that. I've reduced my carbon footprint a little bit, and I still drive a diesel truck, and I still have a gas truck as well. But
You got to do what you got to do.
when I can buy a Tesla, probably also going to have a Tesla. I just got to get there one day, you know, so.
I mean, my stepbrother bought one and he loves it.
Cool.
And he has the funds to do so. So
Nice.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, this is kind of going back, you were talking about the bacteria and stuff. First off, I love anything fermented. I'm all about it.
Cool.
But no, you're completely right. Like, it's funny how things are like unclean.
Yeah.
And
it's marketed to us that it's unclean.
Really weird. And it's funny too. Okay. So I've learned over time because you're like, I'm not a super hippie. I used to be like
Dedicated.
shower every couple weeks because
Nice.
the ocean cleans my
Right,
body. Like
right.
that was me in another life. And you can get so into like, oh, well then wait, it's not actually dirty. So nothing, like you can go too far with it. And it's like, okay, but at the same time, like, yeah, let's look to people, indigenous peoples around the world who have been doing shit for years that us over here are like, yeah, whatever, which is so disrespectful, first of all, to do. But anyway, I digress from that. But you get, what was I saying?
You were talking about fermentation and indigenous
I'm sorry.
people's way. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Bad ADHD.
No, you're good. I fight with it too all the time.
But yeah, it's kind of like, okay, but remember that they also didn't necessarily brush their teeth with like minty toothpaste, and like it's okay to do that. It's okay to want to have nice breath because it's available, and it's all right to want those things, and so it's okay. I feel like it's totally understandable that it's like, well, now we have the technology. Now like single-use plastics changed medicine, right? Like it's so necessary.
True.
But I don't know, you kind of get to a point where you're like, all right, but it's like, it's okay to like smell nice, or it's okay
Right.
to, but I agree with you in general, like, oh God, expiration dates piss me off. I don't know how many times like Selena will be like, oh, well, the expiration date on this was yesterday. I'm like, but it wasn't open.
Yeah.
It's not even open. Like,
Yeah.
and she's like, well, but she doesn't do it as much now, but I'm like, it's not open. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah. No, I feel you. I'm the same way. I had a roommate when we were all in college, and if the milk was on the date, he would be like, throw it out.
oh my
I'm
God.
like, no.
My stepmom would do that. Yeah.
Smell that. See if it's got a
Yeah.
little funk to it or not.
Yeah, and if not, I mean, I don't even drink milk, but like,
Yeah.
and in terms of like, and also sensory issues. I like to wash my hands and stuff, but I usually, it's like I'll rinse them unless I'm like, whatever, needing to soap. But if it's just like, ooh, I want to rinse my hands off, like they're not dirty. I
Right.
just want to rinse them.
Right.
Yeah, it's really, really weird how like excessively germophobic,
Yeah.
I guess it's become, but I don't even know that necessarily. It could be like, oh, these things are bad for you. It's almost, to me, it's like this gluttony of we can make it, so we
Yeah.
might as well.
And we're going to make money off of it.
And we can, yes, and
Yeah.
and people seem to like it, so we might as well. And that's where I get mad, because it's like now you're just being gluttonous, and you're like, oh, we can make this thing now, so I'm going to do it and sell it, and I'm going to market it in a way that is like you can't live without this.
Yeah.
And sure, you don't have to live without it. You can own it. That's amazing. But like the marketing of it all being like, you have to have this. It's like, no,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
Yeah, couple things. Hopefully I can remember all of them. But there was a guy I used to work with, and he was in the Army. I forget where he was stationed. I don't know. It'd have to be in the Eastern Hemisphere somewhere. But he explained the whole showering thing to where they would go days, if not several weeks, without getting the opportunity to take a real shower and a real, have plumbing and a shower head with soap on you. And then he said, first several days are rough. And you can smell your best friend from a mile away. You smell them onions, whatever. But then several days after that, you start neutralizing, and your body turns into kind of self-regulatory type of thing, to where it starts neutralizing all your weird smells. And he said that when certain people in his crew would get the opportunity to go back to camp, they'd take a full shower or whatever, you could smell them from 5 miles away. That he said the Irish Spring on their body was so prominent, because everyone else, neutralized. And then, anyways, I thought that was interesting that he said it wasn't, once you got to a certain point of no shower, that everything was fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were probably sleeping outside in sleeping bags and on the dirt. So it's different than, coming back to the house and office all the time.
Yeah,
just
that's
kind of being stinky.
Yeah, that's quite different. I mean, that's kind of like with your hair too, like washing your hair. Like, you're not supposed to do it every day, but so many people wash their hair every day. I washed mine last night, and I told Selena, I was like, oh my gosh, I just went the longest I've been in so long. She was like, how long? And I was like, this was 12 days.
Really?
Yeah. And she was like, that's gross. And I'm like, well, now it's gross.
Yeah.
It hasn't been gross though, because you don't even have to use dry shampoo. You can use baking soda.
Yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah.
Just something to like absorb moisture, and then you can fortunately I have access to a shower and running water. So just rinse it off. But like, no, you don't have to wash it all the time, because my hair, when I was little, my dad washed my hair every day. And I didn't stop washing it daily until I was older. And so my hair when I was little was like thin. It was like fly away. And now, like, naturally, it's like a horse's mane. Like, it's super thick. It's like beach wavy, but it's because I don't wash it every day.
Right.
And it's like, you just let your hair, I wash it every so often. You just let your hair do its thing. You let your scalp do its thing. And yes, like the first time you're doing it, you're like, but then over time, your hair doesn't even get noticeably greasy at all until like day 4.
Yeah, my scalp will start telling me, and then it's about day 7, and I'm like, okay, cool, it's Sunday again, I'll wash my hair again.
Yeah, but that's like once a week, that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that's like the easiest part of having this long hair. And several men and even guys my age are like, how do you do it? How do you have long hair? But it's like, it's almost less work in some instances to not have it, because I don't brush this. I don't go to Sports Clip and every week or 2 weeks, whatever
It's
people
expensive.
do. Yeah, I don't cut my hair. I don't do anything to it besides wear it down, wear it in a bun, easy. I mean,
Yeah.
think about all the people from, up until what, 300 years ago or so, most men had long hair because it was the easiest
Easy.
thing to do.
And also it was like seen as a sign of strength. And a lot of times
Exactly.
there's like a lot of spirituality tied into your hair and stuff. No, I definitely like if you want to chop your hair off, you do it. But no, I use things to like make sure my curls stay good. Like you can use things. But yeah, I'm just like, you don't have to wash it all the time. Like it will be okay. And your hair will thank you and it will start doing what it's naturally going to do.
Exactly.
Like-
Exactly. Because people survived a long time before the invention of shampoo or whatever came out first. So
Yeah.
But we got off on a tangent, which is good. I like just hearing, opinions from different people about different things. I'm finally going to get to the question about having a supportive partner. I've said it a bajillion times now,
Oh, it's
but
fine.
I get to have a similar experience with you with my wife, and where she's self-employed also, I'm self-employed, but then you and your partner are also self-employed, and it's an interesting dynamic because I grew up with a dad that's self-employed majority of my life, but my mom's always worked for different nursing offices and stuff, and then so I didn't get to see both parties, work together. What's your experience with it as, two self-employed people, but then also not having does your partner get like scared or like nervous about both y'all not having like normal jobs? It's a whole new way of living basically.
It is
What's
a
your
new
experience
way.
with it?
Okay.
It seems to be positive.
It is. I'm trying to think because it's been up and down and stuff over time, obviously.
Right.
I think at the root of it all, like money is really important and everything. And money is very important to me. It's very important to Selena. Like she
Nice.
finds a lot of stability in it.
She is all about her business.
Oh my
I
God,
can
she
see.
is. Yeah, Capricorn moon, just like
Yeah.
money, make my money.
She's awesome.
She is. And, but obviously it's important. But I think that at the end of the day, we both had reached a point because she left her 9 to 5, that was a whole situation, but like
April
about
21.
21, yes. And it was a whole thing that happened. And it was like a month later that I was done teaching.
Yeah.
But both of us had come to a point where we were like, I'm miserable
Yeah.
not doing this. It's not even, to me, it wasn't like I'm miserable teaching. I love my kids. I loved what I taught. It was more like I'm miserable because there's this other thing that fulfills me that is like, it's a more natural way for me to do things. It makes me happy. I earn money from it and I'm not doing that. And we both, like specifically Selena, she'd always wanted to be a full-time artist. And she was just like, I think I just got to try it. Like she had the big Roy Orbison mural and then she was like, I cannot do this anymore. And I was like, well, I support you. I mean, my ass ain't gonna make much money, but like I support you emotionally and we'll figure it out.
Heck
and
yeah.
she was you're fine. She was basically the
Playing
same way.
footsies over here. Sorry.
She was basically the same way with me. Like she was like, I support you. I know that you're not doing well and we will figure it out. So I think at the root of it, there's just like such an understanding that we both, we both needed something different. And so then like during that time, there's been periods of like, oh God, like not many, fortunately, but some periods of like money is tight or, oh gosh, I don't know. And at one point I went and like last fall, I had a part-time job for a couple months just to kind of get myself some structure again and everything. And then,
But that's important to know what it takes to live, and then you're willing to sacrifice some of your time to get back on track.
Yeah.
And I don't know how other people feel about that, but like doing what it takes to get by, you have to. If you want this long-term goal of being self-employed for the rest of your life and doing what you want to do, it takes a lot of sacrifice.
It does.
And then whether it be 10 years up front of doing nothing but just hardcore saving your money to just go all in at that end of the 10 years, or you jump off into it. Some people do it too early and some people don't do it early enough, but then figuring out when you get there, it all boils down to what it takes for you to live daily. But I mean, it's so good to have a supportive person there to be like, I got your back.
Oh, yeah.
And then that's what me and Raquel talked about when she came on was, you know, when she got started, she just wanted to, you know, make a couple extra $100 here and there, yada, yada. And she said, luckily I had you to have my back. And then, because I had my boring old 7 to 7 job. It wasn't no 9 to 5. It was 7 to 7. And then sometimes, or back then it was on nights, and then it was on day shift anyways. So I helped her out, and then now we came full circle where I sold my my other company, and then now I'm starting this, and you know, it's nothing but grind. I'm not making money off this yet, but luckily my wife is there to support me and my time now, and it came full circle, and she's got my back 100%, and now I've got hers. We don't have a great routine just because sometimes she's very well structured in hers because she has, you know, people book months in advance, so she can keep a tight schedule. She keeps her girls in line and in tight with that schedule. But then mine, I'm like, I need to get whatever work I can done when the time is available, and then finding that with 2 little kiddos is tough. But
I can't imagine.
You just have to. I mean, think about like holding like a goo in your hands, and then it just kind of finds wherever it can go. That is time management as an entrepreneur with an entrepreneur wife or husband, whatever. And just with the kiddos, it's so important to and that's our big deal, is spending quality time with them. And it's like, it's hard in today's day and age. It's hard to do it. And then to keep a good relationship with your partner and your kids and keep your company alive.
It's a lot.
It's so much. And then the saying is, I didn't want to work 9 to 5, so I quit my job, became self-employed. So now I work
24/7,
25/8. So it's just part of it. But like when I hung out with y'all several weeks ago and we met up here, when I was talking to y'all about availability, both y'all said, I'm flexible. Yeah. And that's the beautiful part about being self-employed is that you create your own schedule. Most of the time, if your dogs or Selena or your kids don't need it, my kids in my instance don't need it. But yeah, you're flexible. And that's what one of my closest friends I got through business told me was, there's hardships, yada, yada, but me and you can go take a 2-hour lunch break and no one's getting on to me for coming back 2 hours later. And he said that, not just lunch, but you know, the whole schedule thing. He said, you can't put a price tag on that. And he said, I'm not a millionaire yet, and I'm not just killing it yet, which I think he's extremely successful, but he gets to choose what his day looks like. Yeah. And then if he needs to tell a customer, hey, this broke down, I'm going to sit in the shop all day and fix it, and then I'll be there tomorrow or next week, whatever, you can do that if you're a good enough coordinator to, you know, keep in contact. And that's another hard thing, is just talking with clients. Yours is a little bit different with the products, but then with your readings, that's more personal. So products you can just get when you get them as soon as possible, but then readings, you know, if you have to schedule anything, that's tough, and you have to be a good time manager. And I mean, you could be the best tarot card reader in the world, but then if you're bad at managing a business, no one's going to want to work with you. And so it's just, it's a whole learning lesson, because, you know, you can be the best welder or whatever and be like, I love welding, I'm going to do this, I'm going to build buildings, yada, yada. But then you can't keep $1 in your pocket because you're not a good, you know, money manager or whatever. So
you have to learn a lot of stuff. And I definitely, when I say, how do I explain it? Like being flexible and stuff, I absolutely have to have a routine. Like if I don't have a routine, my life falls apart. It's not good. And, so it took some time.
Like a daily or weekly, what kind of routine?
I don't know if I told you this or not. I have autism. So
yeah, we touched on it.
So I need routine. Okay. I need to know, like, I don't know how to explain it exactly, because it's not like I need the exact same thing to be said every day, but it's like I need to wake up around the same time every day. I need to take out the dogs in this order every day. I need to go to work around this time every day, and I need to make sure that I either don't stop at the coffee shop, or if I do, I stop and I park in this place. Like I need like certain things, but fortunately at this point, I've been doing this long enough that I kind of, how to explain it? There's almost like 5 or 6 different types of days that float around in my head. And so it's like I can wake up on one day and be like, okay, today is a day that I need to go to the office. So this is going to be my routine for the day.
Gotcha.
And like I'm going to wake up this day and I actually don't have anything I have to do today. So my routine is just going to be like, I'm going to clean the house. You know, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have certain, yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's seriously hard whenever you don't have a boss that's going to call you and yell at you at 8:30 or 8:15 to be like, where you at? You know, there's a lot of self-discipline there. And like with our jobs, you know, you could consider them lucrative or like not out of the standard boomer era type of job. And then so just to have that and not have that built-in structure around it with the factory or with PPG paint or whatever, it's tough to learn self-discipline when I'm personally like a lazy-minded person. So I have to like really drill into my head that I want something.
Did you say you have ADHD?
Possibly. I've never been diagnosed or anything.
You were like, I struggle with it, so I didn't know.
But yeah,
that's like a symptom.
Could probably pass a test or fail a test, whatever it would be. But
I didn't mean to overstep by asking that or anything.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Completely willing to talk about it. And then it's just a lot of different things that I think just accumulatively learning about other people's experience. I'm like, I experience things the same as you, whether it be like dyslexia type of conversations or ADHD type of conversation. Yeah, and I bounce a lot. And like we talked about with, I had a friend that microdosed mushrooms, and he said that it got all of his files in his brain organized and then put in rows, and everything started working in clarity for him. And then I'm like, I need something like that because my files are like a kid got on my laptop and just started uploading things, and files just everywhere. And then luckily my laptop don't look like that because I've had to take an active role and being no, I can't let this be scattered because this is scattered up here.
Yeah.
So if I can have something in writing that's not scattered, but like, I would keep a schedule book with me when I was doing the heavy equipment stuff of people I need to get to. And it looked like a maniac.
Oh, yeah. My lesson plans looked like that.
Yeah, just crazy. And then like adding in, and my notes kind of look like that on my phone. But luckily, you can't get as hazardous with your notes as you can with a pen and paper.
Oh my God, truly, though.
And so luckily, that keeps me a little bit in line. But I have a lot of mixed thoughts going into the same file that don't need to be together, But it's all comes down to discipline. And it's something that you have to learn, just like you kind of have to learn with whether it be how to file your taxes or how to run a business, or some people don't even know how to run a computer right. I'm learning this whole, saving media type thing, and the crap you learn in school on computers isn't sufficient.
It's not relevant.
And so it's just
you have to
learn, adapt, and overcome. I keep coming back to that in all these conversations, and it's something I liked with my dad because he went into business with 3 other people, and I was like, y'all had so many years together combined, and it was a trash company that they started, and then so several of them worked together at a trash company, and one of them was his close friend that didn't work in the trash company but was heavily involved with everything that he did, so she knew a lot about it as well. And I said, y'all didn't know everything by the time you sold that company or from when you started it to when you sold it. You didn't know everything that you did at the beginning, did you? And he was like, oh my God, no. We learned so much. He almost seemed overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that they learned in a humongous company like that. So it just takes, I've said it probably a billion times now in the 4 or 5 episodes that I've done, just getting the boots on the ground, learning what it takes, and then just going with it.
Do it.
Just going with it. And then I think maybe me and Selena touched on it, but me and someone talked about the too prepared of an entrepreneur. You can almost slow yourself down by being over prepared. And
personal plight.
You can bog yourself down by needing to do
everything is ready to go. It's all prepared. You're not going to launch anything until it's perfect and until you have everything. You can't.
That's
you just gotta fucking do it.
Fighting with myself right now is like,
the podcast. Just upload them. And just do it.
Well, so I've uploaded some right now, and then y'all don't know this, but there's an episode out right now, but y'all could be listening to, but I haven't told y'all to go listen to it yet. So,
well, there we go.
But it's just, I want a certain thing in my head to happen before I launch everything.
Right.
And then I'm being too over prepared, but I'm like, I don't want to launch a halfway project.
Right.
I want to at least launch like a 7/8 project. And,
No, for sure. And I think part of this is for me, like it's very like internal, intuitive, whatever. But I've started to actually very recently figure out kind of like the right moment. And I have to tune into myself to really get it. But sometimes it'll be like, okay, I really want to offer like this type of a reading. I don't know. I really want to offer this. And then I might talk it out with somebody else and kind of go, okay, excuse me, like, do I feel prepared to, or what? I mean, reading is probably not the best, probably like product. Like I have this product and I really want to launch it. I'm sorry.
You're good.
But it's like, maybe it's like, okay, but today I don't really have time to like hype it up. So do I want to launch it today and it be kind of half-assed and I only have one made and I haven't even tested it out? Or do I wait until I have 20 of them made and they're all been tested? And you can't do that. It's like, I've learned to be able to go, okay, I feel really happy with this.
Okay.
The timing feels fine. Like I feel okay. I don't feel in any way like, I got to get it done or I got to get more done or I got to post it now. I don't feel that. I just feel like, meh, all right. And that's usually when I'm just like, I'm not going to think about it anymore. Boop, send.
Cool. I've got to that a couple of times and it's just, not bogging yourself down, I guess, because you'll overthink it. And if it, whatever the project is ever comes to be as good as you need it to be, or if you think it needs to be, you're probably going to be like 80 years old working on the same thing, just working on getting started. And you're like, crap, I wasted so much time.
Oh, yeah.
But then if you look at things like, say, our government does, that and I experienced this at that large factory job that I worked as well, government does it as well, is they'll just implement things almost without thinking about it. And it's getting in between those two things of being too over-prepared and wasting time and then not putting enough thought into it and winging it and then having to take all that backlash, whether it be the government or maybe people just rag on you because they're like, this is what you hyped us up about, whatever. So
no, it's, and I feel like I have learned that both of those things are like a form of self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Because it's like, in my case, it's not often that I launch something. Sometimes I'll like launch things and I'm like, I'm not sure if people are going to like it, but I'll launch it and try it. And it doesn't really work out and then it's okay. But I tend to be more of like, okay, I want to have like like these labels I spent hours creating, like developing and stuff. But then
let me see it.
Oh yeah, go for it. So I got oil all over it. But.
It's fine. Did you customize front to back this whole thing?
Yeah.
Cool, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks. And but like that, building that.
I don't know if y'all can see that very well, but
building that template alone was like days of work. And it got to a point where I started like realizing, okay, I'm just like getting annoyed about like little spacing details and like tiny, and I'm like trying to make sure I have as much information on there as possible. And now my labels are like nothing compared. They're just like smaller and stuff.
Right.
But I got to the point where I was like, I'm so worried about making sure that it looks nice that I'm not actually doing or selling the thing itself. And I have really awesome clients who have told me over and over whenever I kind of get into the imposter syndrome space, kind of like, your stuff can look like whatever, but we get it and we use it and it works.
Cool.
So that's what matters. And I had to be like, let me get out of my own way and stop trying to be like, let me make this perfect because no one's going to give a shit. No one's going to go, oh my God, wait, well, that's not quite even.
Yeah, look at that font.
As long as it's not Comic Sans, okay? But like no one's going to look at this and be like, oh, that's like not perfectly centered.
Right.
No one is. And so I'm wasting my own damn time because I don't think I'm worthy of just selling it as it is.
Right.
So, yeah, I've had to do a lot of...
that's, self-discipline right there.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of... It's funny... I never use the word entrepreneur ever. It just like isn't a word I think about ever. And
I mean, you fall right into it.
You're
here. You fell into it.
Okay, so to be fair, the first times I started hearing entrepreneur was like when I was right out of college 10 years ago. And
it wasn't that big of a topic back then.
It wasn't, but it was starting to become one. And so
Okay.
basically and I lived in Austin. And so
okay.
what you had was a bunch of usually like 25-year-old dudes being like, I'm an entrepreneur.
Frat bro-y
kind of. And being like,
okay.
I'm an entrepreneur. And you'd be like, what does that even mean? Literally,
Explain
you're like,
yourself.
what does that mean? And they're like, I'm a businessman. I'm like, of what? Of what? What's your business? Like, I don't know. So it's just not a word I think about a lot.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I think, comes down to like overcoming. I don't know, man. Entrepreneurship like forces you to like wrestle with your demons in a way.
For sure.
Because you have to like I've had to overcome so much self-worth stuff, dude.
And you talked about it the other day, and you just brought it up, was the imposter syndrome. And then you've had great success with several different videos now of getting, up to millions of people admiring your stuff. And then to come from a small town, you did live in Austin, but to come from a small town with, you're born with the small town mentality. You get to choose to grow out of it, but it's reinforced into your brain.
It's a thing.
And then to get any type of success is like, what on earth is this? People from here don't get successful. Why am I facing this? Is this new? Does anyone else know about this kind of stuff?
Yep.
It's weird.
Yeah, to just kind of keep it general, I guess. A lot of my teen years were spent with me like I quit a few different hobbies and things that I had because it was clear that like there were just comments kind of like, oh, I don't like that, made by people in my family and stuff. So I kind of spent a lot of my teen years feeling like the only thing I was really like worthy of was like, oh, you got an A+, good job. And I won't get too deep into that right now here, but so like I just didn't have much of a sense of, well, golly, went to relationships and everything as well. I just didn't feel like I deserved nicer treatment.
Yeah.
I endured a lot of like just kind of getting the side eye. I was very much, I'm sure my family would be like, no, you weren't, but I was like very much the black sheep.
You're the one that experienced it. You get to feel however you want to about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Levi. I appreciate that because but anyway,
you get told a lot to get over certain things.
And that like, oh, it wasn't like that. You're being dramatic and that shit. I am over it. I kind of on Sunday, we were driving somewhere and I wasn't even, it wasn't Sunday. It was a few weeks ago, but we were driving somewhere and out of nowhere, I was just like furious about that. I was just like, I feel like if I were to ever tell X, Y, and Z people like, hey, do you realize that you made me feel like this and that you did? Like, no, it didn't. You don't remember right.
Have you ever done that to somebody? It's like casting out a demon to certain people, telling them that they're in the wrong. It's almost crazy. I mean, because it's hard to hear that, hey, what you did affected me poorly.
Right.
And you don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. It would crush me. And I mean, me and Raquel have these conversations to keep above board and then to know where each other are at. And it sucks to hear that, certain things. But if you're responsible about it, you accept it, you apologize for it.
Yes.
And okay, what can we do to not let that happen again?
Yeah, because to me at the end of the day, because I actually recently had one of those types of conversations, exactly 6 months ago today, I think. Weird. And the first 10 minutes that I was saying my piece, I was just kind of met with, oh, Brittany, no, that's not, you aren't unwanted. You aren't why would you ever, who made you, I've never said that, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then I think after a little bit, it kind of turned into okay, wait, my child is talking to me and I should probably listen.
Cool.
Which is good. But no, a lot of times the immediate reaction, and I'm guilty of it too, is defensiveness and very well, you are making, and it's the moment I've even, all couples have fights and stuff. And so there have been times where me and Selena are in an argument and I might, or not an argument, but I might be like, yeah, you said this and it upset me. And this would happen vice versa too. But she might turn around then and go well, you make a big, and I might do that to her. And the other one has to go, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about you taking things too far. We're talking about me taking things too far. We're talking about you doing this thing and it hurt me because, which again, that doesn't happen a lot. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's what I've learned is, and it's kind of profound, I guess, and it's caused a lot of change in my life, is, how do I word this? At the end of the day, you need to remember that like your partner is supposed to be hopefully somebody you love deeply, even if in the moment you're not feeling romantic, if you're feeling like you piss me off, like you got to remember at times, like, I love this person deeply. And if I were to be just mad right now and be like, bye, I would hate myself. And so at the end of the day, even if they are like, you said this and it made me mad and you don't understand it and it annoys you, you have to be like, I hurt the person I love more than anybody in the world. It doesn't matter if I think it's annoying. It doesn't matter if I don't think it's hurtful. I did hurt her and I need to do better. Yeah. And I kind of feel like, it's weird to be like our generation, but I do. I feel like our generation is kind of starting to understand that and starting to just kind of be a little more vulnerable and be like, okay, maybe I do fuck up. Whereas sometimes when you talk to maybe older people,
they are stuck in their ways. I mean, and not all older people, and some are very capable of, having empathy. These conversations. Yes, empathy. But yeah, man, I mean, that's beautiful that you can step back from all your situations, all these type of conversations and have that mindset of it, because it is easy to be like, no, I don't care. And it's easy to take the low road. And then, but like you did say, if you weren't going to say it, then I was, that our generation is coming to terms with this. And like, no, we don't have to live like this just because it's something that,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then learn to go from where it was and accept that, okay, I did something bad and it sucks. I feel like a piece of crap. You telling me that it made you feel that way makes me feel bad, and then you got to accept it and just keep going. Yeah,
you can't turn it into something about you.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, it's just interesting. I feel like that is starting to, like I said, we just collectively, we're all in this age group-ish. And again, older people too sometimes. My grandmother is like very open-minded compared to who she used to be.
Do you think you get a lot of stuff from her? Like, or do you think she got anything from you?
Yes.
Cool.
I think a little bit, but I think also it's just like, I've noticed, and it's funny because her husband, my grandfather, he was kind of the opposite. I feel like
it's kind of that old school mindset.
Yeah, sort of. But I mean, very loving, empathetic, but like, it's weird. It's almost like as you get older, and I'm only 30, but I've experienced this too. It's like as you get older, you either become more set in your ways or you stop giving a shit.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny because like, it's like in some ways, you're going to become more set in your ways. You're like, you know what, this works for me. I like this. This is how I feel. But then in other ways, like, I don't know. There are things even now that like I cared about, not even in like a hateful way, but like I cared about so violently when I was like 23 that I'm just like, whatever. Like, it doesn't affect me. Like, you just have to learn how to, and it seems so odd because sometimes my grandfather being one of them, it's like, I don't want to change. I don't want to admit that maybe I felt wrong in the past. It's just, well, it was a different time. But that also makes me mad because, I mean, I'm clearly gay, and I came out to my family a long while back and stuff, and it did not go great. It wasn't horrible. I wasn't like disowned, nothing like that, but it wasn't great. And I'm sure that I would be told otherwise, but it didn't feel great.
Right.
And I don't know. I just had to get to the point where I was just like, do you really like care that much? I don't know. I don't even remember where I was going with it. It was somewhere, but I'm sure I'll come back to it.
I'm here. I'm listening with you.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I'll find it at some point.
But it's just, we were talking about with people stuck in their ways in our generation being able to, be more empathetic.
Yes. So I remember now. I remember it was kind of.
You need some of this clarity or help for clarity. It's not called clarity. I don't know what you call it.
Oh, that is actually. This is actually the same thing. It's the sun.
Cool.
Yeah. But no. But no, I remember now. I just remember kind of, you'd be told by certain family members or just people in general, like, well, you have to remember they're older and it was a different time. And my response to that, and I'll go on record saying it, is it was a different time, but now it's not.
Yeah.
And you've lived through all of this time, and you've chosen to stay ignorant and to like just refuse to open your mind. That is a you problem. Don't you dare project that onto me. So I don't care if you're If someone's like 85, it's a different time. Like
Yeah.
their brain
And
is
they're
starting
at the
to
end of their track as
right.
well.
If someone's 50, 60,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, you've lived all these years. You've seen all this. You've heard all this. If you've chosen to close your mind off and stay ignorant, that's your problem.
Yeah, I mean,
So
and
I
think
don't like that
about
excuse.
those generations, the 50 or 60-year-old generation, like what probably our parents fall into.
Yeah.
They were so much different than their parents.
Of course,
I think that, my
Also
grandparents have a cool picture of them, and maybe they'll hear this one day, but it used to be in their office, and it was them, my Mimi and my papa sitting on an old tailgate, and I was like, when I was finally old enough to be like, what is this? And they were at some cool concert. They were hippies back then.
That's cool.
And he always worked blue collar jobs and is a blue collar guy and typical Texan guy, but they were hippies back in the day, and they were chilling. They may even had one of those cool campers that go on the back of the truck, and they're at this concert, and I was like, y'all are cool.
That's
and y'all
dope.
were cool. And then so I mean they still are.
Yeah.
But the generations before us were different from their parents and so on and so forth. And it's always life for the past probably 200 years has been nothing but change. I mean, I guess it does go back further than that, but it's nothing but change always. And what
Right.
my kids like, I'm going to have to, and I've already thought this, like, I'm going to have to be enthusiastic about whatever they choose to do because they need my support over whatever it is, whether it be, the new form of Pokemon Go or whatever, or if they're the biggest football, basketball head there is, like, I have to be intrigued with what they do,
Of course.
because
That's good.
we want our support from our people around us, and then whether it be in your day-to-day life or your relationships or your business, you want your people's support, and then to not get that, it's one of those things. Like, I can remember I graduated from tech school, and then with a degree that went, or not a degree, as a certification, but with exactly to what I went to go to work for.
Right.
And then so I fell right into that job, and everyone was like, good job, buddy. You're doing it. You're killing it. This is what guys do from around here. They go to that factory. Everyone goes to that factory and goes to work. You know which one I'm talking about.
I sure do.
And then everyone was proud of me. And then I was the youngest person there by a large age gap. So everyone at work was proud of me and whatnot. But then the small business ideas started coming up.
And then more,
it was a lot more drawn in, like, we're happy for you, but yada, yada. Or what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about
Oh my God, it's so rude.
healthcare? And it's just like, I'm on cloud 9 right now.
Let me be excited.
Yes, let me just live this. And we're at the point of like, who cares? Like, we're young. We'll adapt and overcome.
Literally.
And it does not matter at all, because I made sure that I wasn't going to be, and this was something that I set out in a game plan to get out of my job, was to not be a burden on anyone else. Like, not have to go, Dad, I need help with X, Y, or Z. Once we got our house, we luckily we bought a house, but right when we got married, we had to live with my parents for a split second while buying the house that we're in now. And so once I got out of all that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a burden to anyone else. And then this huge life change, I'm going to do 100%. If I can't do it by myself, well, with, of course, Raquel's help, but that's, my person, then I'm not going to do it, or I'm not going to get into anything that I can't do by myself. And then so, like, I just didn't, have to rely on anybody, but it's still their concerns or their worries was like, oh, guys, like, I'm hyped up about this right now. Let me ride this wave. Like, hype me up. I need hype up people.
Oh my God.
But luckily my friends were like, fuck yeah, let's do it. I can't wait to see you do this. Can I come help you?
Of course.
And then luckily one of my best friends, shout out Mitch, I know you're going to see this or hear this. As soon as I told him what I was doing, he said, tell me whenever you get that tractor, because I have something I need to hire you for. And I was like, yes.
Amazing.
That was my first very job, was Mitch Lundy hired me the day after I bought my backhoe and went into business, and I undersold myself times 1,000
I'm
and
sure.
should have charged him 100 times more than what I did. But luckily, I didn't. And then he had a lot of experience with what I went into work for. So him and his dad had experience as well. They came out, they showed me the ropes, they, helped me get into it. And then I had that community from my friends and my friends' friends,
yep.
So I found it elsewhere. I still had it with my family. They were just scared and then projecting their worry on me. But I was like, not the time to be worried, because I'm worried. I'm freaking out right now, but I'm still riding on the adrenaline side of things. So let me just be happy. And then luckily my friends was like, come on. I need your help, and I'm going to help you while you're helping me. So
I love that. I am very much the same. I am like, I try to be, this is funny enough, this is actually something kind of a topic that I've like very recently been focusing on a lot, like feeling like I'm worthy of having hype, feeling like I'm worthy of people being excited about me. That's been something very intense and spiritual for me lately. And it's hard. And I think, so like, kind of like to you, my family was like, oh yeah, Brittany's like moving to Alaska and doing all this outdoor stuff.
You went to Alaska?
Yeah.
I didn't stalk you good enough. I thought I stalked you pretty well, because I have to do a little internet stalking.
I told you I've lived a few lives.
Yeah, for sure.
But when I was doing that and I was moving around and I was doing like outdoor work, they were just like, oh yeah, she's doing this. It's cool. Like, great, whatever. And then when I became a teacher, it was just like, oh yes.
You did it, girl.
You did it. And like, you're such a good, and I was a good teacher, and I like won awards, and I had a lot of accolades in the district and stuff. And then whenever I was going to leave, my family is still like, oh, okay, like cool. But they're also just like, what do you do? And like, that's fine. But at the same time, it's like, it's not nearly as like, they don't ask about it.
Right.
They don't ask, and
right.
like my friends and stuff will obviously, it's like, I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to do this. And they'd be like, fuck yeah, do it.
Let's
go. And I have, it's funny because Selena is, so she is she's very supportive, and she is also very like, okay, but like kind of anxious, I guess. And so when I was like, I'm going to leave, I'm like you, I'm riding cloud nine. I just want you to go, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, what are you going to do about this and stuff? And I had to finally be like, you got to let me be excited.
Yeah. Raquel's had to tell me that too. Like, you need to stop being so over this or that and just let me do this.
Yes.
Like, okay, sorry.
Just be excited.
I'm sorry for being what other people were to me at that time,
Yep. And fortunately, we both have like figured that out for each other and stuff. But no, it's very interesting. If people there's like the question, I feel like we're getting personal, but but
That's
I feel
cool.
like, I feel like
we're here to hear your story. I'll kind of blabbermouth some of mine. So let's just riff on it.
I feel like, what was I gonna say? I lost it.
No, you're good. We're talking about having support, and then your friends were all about it, and then other people maybe weren't.
Yes. It's funny because sometimes people will like ask celebrities or whoever, like, who's your biggest support system in your life? Like, who do you turn to? And it's like my family, my parents and stuff. And I'm not talking shit on my family, but they're not like my go-to support system. And I don't know if like, if my dad were to hear this, he might be like hurt by it, but it's just true. Like, when I need people to feel like, hey, what do you think I should do? I'm nervous or I'm excited about this thing. They're not who I go to. And it's kind of like you were saying, it's not even necessarily like I'm angry with them about it. It's just like, I don't want to hear half-ass excitement, and I don't want to hear the concerns because I have them already. My partner is asking me them because she's my partner. Yeah. So that's like responsible.
Right. And
then I have my friends and my partner who are like, yeah, you're fucking great. Yeah. Like, hell yeah, you want to go to a market? I'll fucking help you at the market. Cool. Like, and it's funny because I've thought about that a lot lately. Like, who's your biggest support? And I might say my family, but that's like me, Selena, our dogs, our friends, like family over time. Whenever you start to just kind of, I don't know, realize that you fit in differently or have different values, and it's not that your family has bad values. It's just they're different. Yeah. You start to find different family, and it's kind of a chosen family.
Yeah,
and it's really, it's funny because earlier you were like, you have your family to take care of. And me and Selena call it our family, our little family, but like no one else does.
Yeah,
like,
but it is. It's who is in your four walls of your home.
I know, but it's not a kid. So it's not a family. And I'm like, that's rude as hell. I know that it's not the same as a human child, but it's like, that's our animals are our everything.
Yeah.
Like we go home and our lives revolve around them. And that's my little support system. And I think it took me a long time to be at peace with the fact that my family wasn't that for me, because they're just not very like emotional.
Okay.
Woo 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 people. They're just not.
Right.
And especially not about the shit I'm into.
Yeah. I mean, and that's
My
so
stepsister is, but everybody else is just kind of like, that's weird.
That's so true to, you know, for something to be out of the box for people to be able to get behind it.
Yeah.
And then like when I told everyone I was going into heavy equipment, the people that were there for me were like, yeah, I know so-and-so that's been doing it for 30 years and he makes a killing. You know, that guy's awesome. He's awesome. He just went out of business and retired at this age, yada, yada. It was something that they can wrap their minds around. And that is kind of with the teacher job, the factory job. But whenever I talked about going into podcasting, and then, you know,
a little too unstable.
Yeah, too unstable. And people were like, oh, but it was almost funny because the people that were hyped up about the backhoe and dump truck type of work were like, yeah, do that. That's so good. And then now some of them are, not everyone, some of them are like, how are you going to live?
Oh my God,
How are you going to do it? And
so you were supportive when it was when you liked it.
Right,
you weren't supportive of me as a human.
Right.
Interesting.
And I had a weird one. I called my dad months ago and I told him, well, I was just like, let's go to lunch. I need to pick your brain a little bit. He's very well versed in business, life. He's got a lot more experience than I do. So I was like, I need to hear your opinion. And then so I rattled off. I told him how my business was doing in my first 12 months consecutive out on my own, not working another job. And I was like, this isn't cutting it. Like, this isn't working for me and mine, yada, yada. And then, so we kicked around a couple of different ideas and I held off on this podcast because I was already in the very, very, very beginning stages of getting prepared for this podcast. And then we kicked around a couple of different like industrial type ideas for businesses or maybe adding on to my business. And he was like, yeah. But then I mentioned, well, here's something that I'm already going to do. I haven't started it yet. And I told him about what a podcast is and everything and what I'm going to do with it. And he had like a fire light up in him. And I was like, really? Because, you know, it's entrepreneurs and politicians. Well, he's both. And he was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I was like almost baffled, like, wait, you think this is a good idea? And he said, yeah, because he's been on the news several times. He's involved with several different groups, and whether it be for personal reasons or private reasons, like he's involved with Campfire and here in Wichita Falls. He goes on news a lot for Campfire, but then he also talks on the news when it gets government related. If they come to court, they'll interview commissioners, whatever. And so he was telling me, I can't stand when certain news crews come and they don't even have a clue what to ask these people. He was like, I can't wait to see how this comes out, because he was like, I'm going to tell you some stuff too that you need to be asking people.
Oh,
and
good.
Like I have some ideas that these news anchors just aren't, or I guess they're anchors, whoever goes and interviews people, reporters. He's like, they're not hitting the target questions that they need to be. And I was like, let me know. Let's go. Yeah. And then so, I was like, you have to be the first person on here. And then he was, and he's super good. I only cut it off. We could have talked for like 5 more hours because of all this experience and his story. But I had to pee, and I knew that he'd be like, crap, I have 10,000 things to do as soon as I stopped. So we stopped it at 2 hours.
Sense.
But it was interesting to see. And he was excited for me to go into business because he understood the heavy equipment. He was one of those that made sense to him. But then I'm almost hesitant to tell him some like more modern things. Like he doesn't like my tattoos, that kind of stuff. Like I don't have a nose ring because I know that he wouldn't stop giving me crap about it. So I'm like reluctant to tell him some certain things like that, more modern things. And then so that's why I reserved that information till the back end of our conversation. And I was just like, what, you like this too? Like, cool. So it worked out well. But something that I thought about, it was a saying I thought about since we've been talking about this. And I heard it on another podcast, I think, or as a meme or something. But someone said, you start to learn with the experience who you share good information with, but who you share bad information with as well. Because certain people around you, some people you don't even know are praying for your downfall.
Oh,
because
yes.
you could be killing this and all they want to do is have a big following on TikTok and they want to sell certain oils and herbs and do tarot card readings and they want you to lose.
Yep.
And they may go eat dinner with you once a month. And then I'm not saying, you specifically, but
No, I
there's
understand.
people out there that aren't rooting for you, but they're still in your circle. And then just to have that, just to know I can trust this person and I can be vulnerable with this person.
Right.
And then they're going to respond well. And then also learning like, oh, I can't talk to this person about certain things because they're going to shit all over me and my emotions
Yep.
and then maybe make me feel even worse about it. So you start to learn, but that's another one of those things. It takes experience to know. And that's just one of those tougher ones because it's your emotions that you're playing with. It's not just numbers or money coming in. It's your emotions. And
Yeah.
it's hard to put, value to it because I can't grab my emotions and how
Right.
my feelings about this. So it's
Yeah.
just one of those deals. But yeah, you learn as you go.
You do.
And you learn who your friends that become family. And I told y'all about a great friendship that I made solely through business. Shout out Jake because he was in the exact same business way before me. And then he said, he saw me on Facebook. We were randomly friends. And he was like, hey, I got some work for you. If I get bogged down again, I'll give you a call. And he didn't know me from Adam. And then from that, he was like, hey, do you have a Snapchat? Yeah, here you go. Hey, what's your number? I'm going to give you a call real quick. I need you to help me out with something. Boom. We're like best friends now. We
Yeah.
just went and ate yesterday, I think.
love that.
And so it was weird for me to come from, I watched my dad leave a trash company and start his own trash company. And that original company just threw so much hate and so much horribleness his way. They told people, do not talk to Jeff. You're not allowed to talk to him, And so with that, I saw, if you're in competition with somebody, you're not allowed to be friends with them. That's just what was like pre-programmed into my brain. So when this guy, shout out Jake, was nice to me, I was like, what the hell is happening? Why are you being nice to me? I'm your
Right.
competition. And then the first time we met in person, he was Snapchatting me, and I had my stuff on my trailer, and he was like, here's Levi Watts with Texas Superior Services, my competition. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's that's Levi. He's my
Yeah.
buddy. He's my newest friend I've just made. And we've been best friends
Right.
ever since then. And he comes to our house. He knows every single person in my family well. And so it's just crazy that the connections that you can make that don't have to be negative, but then you can find negativity in your inner circle. And I don't have that as prevalent, as
Right.
good as my new friendship came from a random person, but it's just things that in business you don't, or maybe you had a predetermined idea in your head that you have to relearn, like, oh shit, people are going to be nice to me,
Yeah.
or those people aren't. So it was a hard lesson for me to like reprogram my brain like that.
Right. Like from feeling like it's always going to be competitive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I actually, one of my social media relationships are weird, but one of my mutual people that I follow and that follow me back is actually somebody who she's got, I don't even know how many TikTok followers, but I mean, I think her Instagram is like 520,000 followers, and she runs a business. Yeah. She's opening her own brick and mortar. Nice. It's like what I do. Very similar. Okay. But she is, I mean, she's from a different, she's Haitian. She has a different background and everything. So it's like, we have, if you were to put our listings side by side, you'd be like, oh, you both have a road opener. You both have a divination. You both have this, but they're different feelings and whatever. And something I love about Stassi is that she and I every now and then, we don't talk a lot because she's busy as hell naturally. But every now and then she'll just see that I messaged her 2 weeks ago, and then she'll pull up her phone and just send me 6 voice messages just telling me girl, listen, this is what's been going on.
Cool.
And she and I are both, she's so just down to earth, and she and I both have such a mindset of if you're winning, we're all winning.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what trash companies are like, honestly, but in terms of at least what I do, because this is not the normal shit that people come across. It's becoming more normal, but not in general. And so to me, I'm like, okay, well, like, she's also just got a huge following. I'm not going to catch up to that. I'm not even going to try to. I have 3,000 Instagram followers. I'm not going to try to catch up to 525,000 and all the sales that come with it. So the best thing that I can do is do me and hype her ass up, because she's also worked her ass off to get where she is. And the least she can do, which she does it, is just like mind her business, and she'll hype me up. And it's like, it's just, again, I don't know what it's like in a certain business and in the same area and stuff, but it's like, she lives in California, I live in Texas. But there's still, even in like my own community online and stuff, like different shops, like there's so much of the competition and so much of there's lots of hate following. Like people will follow you just because they hate you.
Isn't that the craziest damn
okay, but
thing?
I do that though. Like on, I don't follow people, but I watch people like on YouTube that I hate. Like I hate what they're saying, but I'm just like, I have to listen. Like, I don't know.
I know what you mean.
Yes.
It's a weird human habit, but
You just want to watch the fire.
Yeah,
You just
I think
wanna watch
we're all
it.
guilty of it in some certain instance.
It's probably problematic, but I am very much like I will pull up a chair and just like, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I had it just, there's so much of that, like, and I've gotten to a point where like, and also with what I do, it's a little bit more like mystical stuff, but like I can feel when like another business is like feeling like a vibe at me. And I'm just like, why are you mad, bro? Like, one of my best friends that I've met through this, her name is Anna, and she has her own like metaphysical shop in Denton, Texas.
Cool.
An hour and a half from here, right? Like we're right nearby. She sells my products in her store.
Cool.
And there's no competition. None. It is like, she does this and I do this, and they're pretty similar, and I sell to her and we're homies.
Yeah.
And that's the end of it. And I wish more people would get on board with that. Like if your friend is doing well, that doesn't take away from you.
Exactly. If
It doesn't
anything,
take away from you.
You can help one another out. I mean, and this is what me and Selena talked about, and I've learned this from, I hate to keep bringing up Joe Rogan, but I just listen to him so much. But he has always been real adamant about helping. He's a comedian, and then he helps people that used to be in his shoes. You know, when he was a young man, he was a new comic, and then he talks about, I want to help people like they helped me, and then it was,
You have to give it back.
Exactly. And it was crazy to meet my now best friend Jake, that he said, I asked him, I was like, why are you being so nice to me? And he said, if people wouldn't have helped me when I started, then I wouldn't be where I am now, and I can now repay that back. And I was like, that is huge.
It's profound.
And me and Selena were talking about who would think the craziest idea when you're nice to everybody and you help people in the same industry as you all grow together. And if they don't like catch up to that, I think the universe kind of has a way of just balancing itself out, and that weird negativity or whatever you want to call it kind of self-regulates.
Yeah. It dissipates over time.
Yeah, and the people that help build and grow together, and like the ladies you just mentioned are helping you, and you're going to help them, and then you're probably going to help someone that is starting up in a couple of years or maybe a couple months, and then it's just crazy to think, who would have ever thought that being nice to people and growing with people would help everybody involved, rather than shitting on them, you know?
Revelatory idea.
And talking bad and getting on Facebook and the mom groups and stuff like that. But
it's so much energy too, to like actually be mad about so many things.
Exactly.
That's what we talked about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I got to the point, because I'm also like, I'm an environmental advocate, and I'm vegan, and I'm gay, and I'm like involved in these other things that I care about very much. And if I'm angry about them all the time, I will go just flatline.
You'll burn out.
You can't, and then you don't care about anything for a while. And so
Exactly.
I don't understand the opposite of that, when it's like, why are you hating shit that has nothing to do with you? It's not hurting you. But no, I feel very similarly. And actually one of my newfound mutual friends on Instagram. So we are both very much in the beginning. We're different ages and stuff, but we're in the very beginning of understanding like our own mediumship abilities and how that works. And it's a very weird, like I've tried to talk to Selena about it and she's like, I support you, but I do not get that shit. Like she's like, I believe you.
That's what a real partner does.
What in the world? Oh yeah, no, for sure. We talked about it last night. She thinks that like, I don't think she thinks that what I do for work is weird at this point. I think she's pretty like, yeah, you clearly have something to it. But like even my interests, she thinks it's really weird that one of my special interests is like cults. Like she's like, she's like, that's a weird thing for you. It's weird that you want to just watch Christian fundamentalists on YouTube.
But like, that's why you gotta have friends like me to bounce those kind of things off.
But she's like, I think it's weird. I think it's weird, like, but not like in a you're weird. It's just like that's a weird thing to like. And she's like, I'll still sit on the couch and play Kirby while you watch it. Yeah. And that's what's important. Yeah. Is like. It's like you don't have to get it, but like you can just be like, yeah, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah. Do you, boo.
Yeah. Yes, and anyway, with my newfound friend Jackie, she and I are both like very much still figuring this out, and so it's something that we are both like getting ready to kind of offer for money and things like that, but. And then we have different follower counts. Like mine is, she started out very recently, so hers is lower. But we practice on each other all the time. Cool. And she just came out with her own like Oracle deck and stuff. And she has like some of my products being sold in the higher Kickstarter tiers. Cool. And I hype her up. It's just like, if no one else really gets what we're experiencing, we might as well experience it together, practice on each other, and then tell other people, hey, go get something from them. Yeah. Because it's not going to hurt me if I'm like, well, you can come to me for this, or you can go to Jackie, and 5 people go to her. Well, she's got bright fucking pink hair, and she's a totally different vibe. So people are going to be drawn to her, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, just... Like, you can't control what other people do, and if you burn yourself out being like, I've got to get everybody, like, you're just... Build a client base that is solid, and that is like... I'm telling you, I can think of one person right now who she probably, oh goodness, in the past 2 weeks, I'm sure she spent like over $600 on my shop. She made 2 orders yesterday. Yeah. She placed 2 orders just yesterday. And will she do that forever? Absolutely not. But it's like her and like 30 other people like her who are the ones that like come back over and over. And it's like, it doesn't have to be you against the world. Exactly. It can just be you against you, and no one else has to know, and just be fucking nice.
Exactly. Let's pause on that for a second. I have to go pee, and I'll be right back.
Okay, great.
And then I'll just... we're back, and I know where to crop it out now. Loud sound so I can see it on the audio. But anyways, we were just talking so much. It boils down to networking, and then all of the friendships that we made, and it's just crazy and almost fun to see like how we can go further together with what years ago would be considered competition, and now we're using them as resources. But what I wanted to talk to you about, since we've been going on so long, but I wanted to get to you. No, this is the whole point. I want them to be long, and 3 hours is a good goal. And if past it, great. But you had a killer TikTok that blew up huge and basically overwhelmed you for a month or so. And then, so tell me, let's talk about what the video contents were, and then was it planned? And then, I mean, we're going to talk about all this. I'm overwhelming you with questions right now, but it's all with the video. And then tell us the month after that, what it was like kind of trying to recoup. So,
oh man. Yeah. So it wasn't planned. It was a day after Valentine's Day, I want to say, this year. I posted a TikTok because I have a certain oil that I make called Bewitched. And it is, at this point, I would say it's like decently well known in like my little sphere. Yeah. It's like one that if you know who I am as like a creator or a business owner, then like you know what that oil is. Anyway, so it is one that I crafted a long while back for like lust, allure, confidence. It's just kind of like a I feel sexy type of a vibe. Cool. Anyway, so my a friend of mine, London, who's also my assistant, she texted me that day, or like, yes, I don't know. It was like the next day after Valentine's Day, and was just like, I put on Bewitched today for the first time, and I had great sex. And then I went out and this guy bought my coffee for me. And then these two girls at the coffee shop were like, you are the prettiest person I've ever seen. Like all these, I don't remember what the specifics were, but she was like, oh my God, like this out of nowhere.
Cool.
And I was like, oh, I love that. We love a testimony. We love a good testimony. So I posted a TikTok and was just like, I just want to tell you guys like what my assistant texted me about what happened after she put this oil on, and it viral, like absolutely viral.
And was it all on TikTok, or did you share it as a reel anywhere else?
I shared it as a reel on Instagram, like I think later in the day, but my Instagram TikTok, I don't go on there anymore. So you slowly lose followers over time, because I went from like 124,000 followers and now I got like 119,000, because it's like 5,000 people are like, oh, she's not posting anymore. Unfollow.
That's crazy in itself. Yeah.
I mean, I do it too. I don't mind. I don't take it personally, but so I posted that there, and it still got a decent amount of attention on Instagram. Yeah. But it was mostly TikTok. And so basically what I did, don't ever do this. Don't do this.
Good tips.
I know it seems like a good idea. It's not a good idea. But it was anyway. Essentially, I was thinking about that other business owner, Stassi, the bigger one that I was thinking about. And I was like, how? Because she just they literally ship out like 200 packages of things every few days. Like that's how many orders they get. Mm-hmm. And I was like, how? And I was like, I bet that there have been times that she has just set her inventory to like 100 of something, because a lot of orders are coming in. So she's just like, okay, let me ride this train. And then I'll, catch up and make it all. And I was like, I should do that. But instead of that 100 orders, I just turned off my inventory on that one product. So basically it was just infinite.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yes. And so I made 323 sales in 48 hours.
Nice.
And that was, I had an $11,000 day.
Nice. And then, but
which was crazy.
What's a normal month for you?
Oh God, that varies.
Okay.
It can literally range from as low as like 1,500 all the way up to like 4,500.
But like products made and shipped.
Oh, not that much. I don't even know the number. I would guess like around 200 products total.
Okay.
In like a month.
For that, you would consider that a good month?
Yeah, probably.
And you hit that in 48 hours? Yeah. Or way over that in 48 hours?
And people weren't just buying that one. They would go to my site and be like, oh my God, she has this for spirit contact, and she has this and this. So people... Now, I also, I would say at least half the orders were just like Bewitched rollerball, just that. Mm-hmm. But there were bigger ones that came in, and I also got a few of my now core clients from that experience. And so it was really exciting for like a day and a half. And I was like, oh my God, like I had never even seen that much money in my life, which, to be real, also like, you take that money and then you turn around and you buy the stuff to make the thing, and then you pay your assist. Like, it don't go that far. But I was just like, oh my gosh, and overwhelmed, and was like, I cannot believe. It was very validating. It was very like, I've worked my ass off for a year.
Yeah.
And I've had people here and there, and my clients tell me like, oh, I love this. Like, you really have a knack for this. Whether you think you're doing something or not, you are. And then just blew up.
Nice.
Now in that, so then the next month happened, and I mean, to make, close to 1,000 products total in like a month is very overwhelming. And I don't even know how to like describe, because I was like, oh, I'll be able to get it done sooner than that. And then I couldn't. And then life kept happening. And so it was like, shit, I can't do this now. And now I'm like sick, so I can't go in and get this done. And I'm starting to have people be like, hi, I ordered this a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
That was like the big thing was like I would say most everybody was just like, wow, you made that much in a day? Because I posted and was like, guys, I just got like flooded with orders. That's kind of my bad. I should have like planned ahead, but I did not.
Yeah.
I just turned 30, so I was feeling excited.
Yeah, dirty 30. Ready to take the world on.
Yeah, so I did that, and that was a lot. But you would start getting people be like, opening PayPal cases and stuff because it's like, well,
Golly.
there's been no communication from the seller and stuff. So then I have to go back and be like, I have been notifying on my email list, on my social media. I have done everything I can to say that there are delays, blah, blah, blah. It was very overwhelming. Toward the end of it, I started feeling a little better, but I think in the beginning of it, it was overwhelming to feel like, holy crap, now I have all this money. What do I do with it? Which obviously you spend it on the business, but
Right.
like I have this money. That's crazy. Wow, apparently I'm worthy of this type of something. So that was hard. That's
And you are
very hard.
And you are, and it takes experiences like that to reteach
Yes.
yourself that yes, you are.
That you are worthy of it because and then just dealing with people. I kind of have never, I don't really care if other people, like people I don't really know, like me or think I'm weird. Like I don't really care, but I've always had struggles with like worrying about maybe for instance, like what family thinks of me and stuff like that. And I think that having, 300 and something orders. So it was like, oh no, it was more than that. It was a lot. But anyway, having all of that. And so then you therefore have at least 10 to 15 people who are going to be dicks and who like complain. And sometimes they weren't even dicks. They were just like, hey, what's going on? But like you'd have people who were outright assholes. And I think that really taught me like you will not ever please everybody.
Exactly.
You won't. And also something that I had to remember was like most of these people are finding me through a TikTok. They are not on Witch Talk. They are on straight TikTok doing whatever else, beach volleyball. I don't know.
And the algorithm just put you into their life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to them, I am Amazon. I am like anything else.
I was gonna say that
Because you don't. Because like y'all don't know me. You're not invested in me as a creator, nor do you have to be.
Yeah.
But clearly, like whenever you have a massive success like that, like you're also gonna pull in like the weeds, like you talked about, and you just kind of have to take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Good point.
And then trust that most everybody else is going to be like, oh, well, no, this is great. I don't mind waiting. But yeah, it definitely taught me that I'm deserving of it. And it also taught me limits are important.
Like quantity limits.
Yeah, like I had never done that. I was just like, let me just see. But it's really weird. And this is kind of like woo woo. But I had this feeling when I posted that TikTok, I was like, I'm just going to turn my inventory off and see what happens. And that's not me. Usually I'm like, I'm only going to list 5 because I don't think anybody will buy them. That's me usually. And I was like, I'm just going to turn it off. Maybe nothing will happen, but maybe something will. But I felt like something would, and then it did.
That's crazy.
And
I think it's crazy that a normal tactic I've seen on Amazon, because Amazon's not doing all the product creation. It's small people run through Amazon, but they will limit their inventory to make it look like, oh, you need to buy this right now, because it'll even say X amount of shoppers have this in your cart.
Yeah.
And so they give you a sense of urgency to buy it by like saying, oh, we might not have this in stock.
Yeah.
But you did the complete opposite and it blew up and it took full sale. And so, and Etsy or your Squarespace didn't limit those people from keep buying it. But you said it, and I was going to bring it up, was people feel so entitled to this Amazon type world, Amazon Prime, world, and especially if they're from Austin or Dallas or OKC, where their warehouses can get it in like 2 hours,
city,
and it's not that way. You're a small business. You do have an assistant now, but majority of the work is on Britt. Britt does everything for this job.
London does all the shipping and stuff, but like everything I make.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing bad about anybody else, but like people are buying the products because I'm making them.
Yeah.
So I make everything. And you're right. Yeah. I actually also like kind of got pissed enough that I like went on both of my social medias and basically was like, if you have a problem with what I'm about to say, you can fuck off and unfollow me. But I got to a point where I was like, y'all need to realize I screwed up. I should not have done that. Like I should not have put it in the inventory, whatever. But I'm also a person and I was trying something out and this is what has happened. And you cannot expect me to have your order number 439 ready before I have order 111 ready.
Yeah.
You cannot expect that. And I know that to you, you're like, oh, well, I only ordered it 3 hours after them. Right. But so did 300 other fucking people.
Exactly.
And I agree. The Amazon thing came up a lot for me because I was like, I I'm not Amazon. I'm not Walmart.com. Like, I have to make the stuff.
Yeah.
I have to buy the stuff. I have to blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the crappy thing that people, I mean, majority of your customers probably did think this, but some people just aren't appreciating that this is a handmade product.
Right.
You know, no, you didn't make the glass, but you added each one of these individual ingredients. And along with this, like, if they wanted a worse product, they could have gone to Amazon, and got a factory made something. But this is made with love and dedication,
Yes.
and that's the whole reason why people need to go to you or your other colleagues that do the
Right.
same thing, because it's not, made in China or Indonesia in a factory with poor kids that aren't getting any money for it,
Right.
So
It's not even made in Texas like that. It's literally just me.
yeah.
And it's the time that goes into like I don't just come up with these blends. Like I have to decide like, okay, I want this for myself. What do I feel naturally drawn to? But it's years and years and years of experience with these botanics and like learning about them and putting them together and stuff. So like, yeah, you're not going to, it's a handmade thing that like, even because now this alone will take me, like if I'm making another one of these, this would take me like 3 minutes.
Okay.
Boom, I'm done. But it's because I spent so much time putting it together.
Exactly.
And I put them in a certain order and a certain like, I don't know, it just, the fragrance, I use like a Texas fragrance company out of Dallas. Like I don't use whatever else. Like people don't understand like the time and the energy. So then somebody goes like, this is $18. I'm like, you would spend $60 on like this of a perfume at Ulta. Don't give me that. Yes, this is $18.
Yeah, what's a thing of lipstick cost nowadays? Lipstick's
even knows?
about the same. You don't wear lipstick?
No, I don't wear lipstick.
I don't either. It's about the same price, and I know for a fact so many people don't have, men and women don't have a problem spending that on makeup. And it's about, a reasonably same size container, and they do it pridefully, and hundreds of thousands and millions of people do that on what's important to them. And guess what?
Fine, but
some people, this is important to them, and they're going to pay every single penny of it. And that's the customers that you want,
Yes.
And that's something that I was told, luckily, going into it, and it's hard to kind of combat, is that not every single, how do they say it? Not every single thing's basically worth the effort.
Right.
And I know that you want every single job, you want every single customer, but is the juice worth the squeeze? And then as you're new and getting into it, you're like, yes, it is. I want these jobs. I want these clients. I want these people to be in my realm. But you don't realize, like, those crappy people that a day later, like, I didn't get a confirmation for my order. I didn't get the shipment process, and all my FedEx numbers. And it's like, because it's not even made.
Yeah, like chill.
Yeah, the thing has all the ingredients, all hundreds of different things haven't even been put together yet.
Yeah.
Because it's handmade,
Yeah,
so.
like give me a second. It definitely taught me the $1 thing, the $1 reading thing forever ago taught me. So it was like it was funny. It was like that happened. And then the bewitched oil thing happened almost a year apart.
Okay.
And then in between time, I definitely had big like October. Oh my God, it was an amazing month.
Cool.
Like the best month I've ever had.
Do you think it's a Halloween thing?
I think it's a colder weather thing, because in the summer, all the metaphysical shops struggle because everybody is just more like, I mean, it's fine too, but it's just like nobody's like at home on their phones, like as much. Like you're outside, you're going places, you're drinking, you're enjoying life, you're spending money elsewhere.
Getting some natural, what's it, serotonin? Yeah, the happy stuff.
Yeah, and just in general, not spending as much, and a lot of times. So then like by the time you get to the fall and the winter, and also like, now I am not like you think of like a witch and they're like wearing black hair and stuff, which like there's plenty of, I have friends who are like very more like into the dark feminine and stuff, but I am just like, I'm a pure little sunflower. And so I'm not like a winter energy type of person.
Gotcha.
But when it's cooler out and people are staying home and they're shopping and there's gift seasons involved.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
That is.
It helps a lot. But I definitely, I've learned lessons from both of those, and there were similar lessons that I just needed to learn in different ways.
Yeah.
But no, sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
I have a client who, she, again, also one of Selena's clients. She goes out of her way every time to be like, please let me know if you need more for shipping. Or like,
wow.
Yeah. Is she
Dream client right there.
Oh, she is. Amanda Ray, I love you. I love
Shout
you.
out, Amanda.
She's the best. But she, like, also one time I had made her and actually her custom oil turned into like another product that I made, but I made her a custom oil that was based on like her sun sign, her moon sign, her rising sign, and then with the intention of being patient. And I took I told her about it in the writing, like in the formulation of it. I was like, I'm going to take a different approach. I'm not going to do patience in terms of you need to calm down. I'm going to do patience in terms of you need to have some energy to be able to handle people's bullshit. So instead of so that's like so instead of it being water or air based, where it's very feelings and mental, I'm going to make it fiery. Because it's not that you need to calm down. It's just that like you have to have the energy to deal with other people because you can't control them.
Interesting.
Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I send that to her. She Venmo'd me like $20 just to be like, I love it so much. She bought it already. She bought the thing, but she like, or cash at me like, I just wanted to say thank you.
Just a tip.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And those are like you will find those people.
Yeah, that's right.
You will. Like, if you sell it, people will find it. And if you are true to yourself and if you make it clear that like, also I try to be super personable on my Instagram. Like I don't just post my branding. I will literally also get on there every day and be like with my pipe outside and just be like, happy day. You know, I try to be myself and you will attract the people that you need to have.
That's right.
And the rest will kind of fall to the wayside. And I think something I'm thankful that I didn't get too caught up in this at any point. I did in the fall for a second, but then I like backed out of it. Was it's easy to kind of get into that, like you were saying, like you're starting out and you're like, okay, I'm making money, I need to make more because like I'm making more sales, I need more clients, I need more. And sometimes you don't need more. Sometimes you have the right amount. And I'm telling you, like my clients spend hundreds on my shop every month, and it's the same few people, like 30 people for the most part, over and over and over. And it's like you have to foster that, and you have to understand that, like if you're trying to talk about like starting a business, but like if you're trying to start a business or whatever, if you're only going into it like I'm going to make money and nothing else, you're probably not even going to be very happy.
Yeah.
You've got to have some sense of like, I'm trying to offer something to someone and I'm trying to help and I'm trying to connect. Because otherwise, like you're going to be miserable and all you're going to do is attract people who don't give a shit about you back.
Yeah. I found myself exactly what you said, even in starting a business that I thoroughly enjoyed, but you get a sense of accomplishment, like say we cleaned out a stock tank or we rebuilt a road, whatever it was, like that's prideful. But I took a whole new approach to this one with this business, and it was something like I knew it was going to be hard to replace what I had before because it was just, dirty and, I got to work with my hands and whatever.
Right.
But this, I took approach to, okay, what am I really good at? And I knew I could talk and I can make friends and talk easily. And then I'm naturally curious, so that makes good for conversation. But then I wanted to be more like, and I don't want to consider myself like knowing everything, but like I wanted it to be more helpful. Like, what can I do to help people that were in my shoes at one point? And then what is content that I would have listened to when I was in those growing stages or research stages of doing this? And it's like taking a whole new life. Like I basically live a whole new life now with a different style of business of just wanting to do this. I'm obsessed with podcasts and I listen to them basically every single day, any time that I can. And then I was like, okay, I want to get into that, and I can do this in a way that could help people like I was just 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And then so I was like, okay, and I'm really, really loving doing this. The first time that we ever sat behind these microphones was me and my best friend Brad, and it wasn't business related. We just sat down and bullshitted about everything that we could think of to talk about. And when we left the building, I was like, this is crazy. You can make money doing what we just did. Mind blowing. Like I can do that every single day of every single year. Like it's just a completely different business style and a completely different business, but it's more like, I guess, gratifying for me or like ticking my boxes better because I'm more available, I'm more flexible, I'm not stuck at other people's houses and serving other people. I make it fit my schedule, and I took a new approach to it, and I kind of overcame and adapted to the world that we live in of being more internet based, you know, and then how can I serve people that are always, you know, bam, bam, bam on their phone when I could only do one project at a time with the equipment stuff. So it was finding something. I did love the heavy equipment, and I'm still passionate about it. Me and my boys play with the little toys and stuff that are all heavy equipment, but I had to find something that was more of me. Yeah. And then I've always been a talker. I mean, Raquel's like, I can't get you to shut up sometimes.
Oh my God, Selena says the same thing about me.
I see me and you having a lot of very similar traits of just chit-chatting, and we're the voice in our households, you know?
I mean, I'm how do I put this? If I hadn't found you to be like a kind or interesting person, I would have just respectfully been like, I don't want to go on your podcast because I don't like small talk, and it's like if I feel comfortable with somebody, I will talk your ear off and I will tell you everything about me. Right. Yeah. And then if I'm like in a group of new people and I just get weird vibes, I won't say a word. And like in the beginning of our relationship, sometimes Selena would be like, are you okay? You were being so standoffish at this bar or whatever. And I think over time, sometimes I was standoffish for sure, because sometimes you're a dick. Everybody's a dick sometimes. But she also learned that it's not, or like if a dude would come up to us and try to like get our attention, she's more of like I'll just be nice to him and then he'll go away. And I'm just literally like, no, go. Like, or I ignore them. And she would be like, why are you like this? And I'm like, I just don't really care to talk and waste my breath on people that I don't care to it's not personal. I just don't care to interact with you. And so, and I think that actually in business, that has helped me a lot too. Yeah. So something that like I do, for instance, with my readings, not everybody can have a reading with me. That's kind of true. So like I do, when I do like my longer sessions for people like over Zoom and stuff like that and over Instagram, they can either have a 15-minute session or a 30-minute session. And no one is allowed to get a 30-minute session if they have not had a 15-minute session.
Okay, cool.
I stopped
You do a little briefing.
I absolutely do, because I used to not, and I would have sometimes people book a 30-minute reading or something. I can't do an hour. It's too much for me. But like, unless I'm really comfy with them. But like 30 minutes is a long time. It's a short time, but it's a long time if y'all don't click. Yeah. And I have been in a couple of readings where I'm sitting on Zoom and they're just like looking at me and I'm trying to talk and it's just, we don't vibe. And that is a long time to not vibe. Yeah. So no, I vet people and it's very clear. I'm like, once you've had one reading with me, you can book whatever you want, because I don't know. I don't even tend to have to like decline bookings now, because I think that since that's in place, I don't know, people approach it respectfully, not in a weird, bow down way, but they just approach it in like hey, I really want to like become one of your clients. How do I go about that first? And I'll be like, okay, well, let's start with 15 minutes, make sure we're right for each other, and then we'll go from there.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I feel like I've started to just kind of figure out the people around me who make me feel supported and make me feel hype and make me feel happy. And I think I got to a point probably within the last 6 months or so even where I was just like, well, then why am I putting up with anybody else's bullshit?
Exactly. Yeah. Why should you? Why should you waste time when there's people out there that's ready to support you or pay for your, you know, what exactly for your services, exactly how you say they are. And so, I mean, those juices aren't worth the squeezes sometimes.
They're not.
And so, I don't want to drag this on too long, but I know that you mentioned something weeks ago that you had your assistant, and then you said that you pay her, you know, more than a fair wage, and I think that's so important.
About a fair wage, but
and I just think that's important because, one, we're having a job crisis here, and it's not it's an employment crisis, but it's people are tired of being exploited. You know, and you could have really just been like, I need the cheapest person that has two working hands to help me. And then so like, tell me what your mindset was to be like, I'm going to pay this lady what she needs. and we're going to agree on this rather than just being like, 725 is the legal limit, and I'm going to pay you that.
Well, I've worked for 725, and what the hell are you supposed to do with that?
Exactly, because gas is $4.35 right now. I
can't even. It's so much. And also just in the past, like, you know, earlier, not to jump off, and so I'm coming back to London and everything, but, you know, earlier you kind of talked about self-discipline and all of that. And I got out of college after 3.5 years. My parents kicked me off the health insurance, and it was like, swim, sink, and I sunk for 5 or so years. Damn. Hard. And I mean, I would swim some, and then I'd sink again and swim, but I've been fully broke multiple times. I have been like, I don't even know how I'm going to eat dinner. I don't know how I'm going to feed my cats. Like, I've been there. And so because of that, I have like a lot of that discipline, because it's like, I just have that, like, I will do whatever it takes to survive. And then also, because I have that, I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm going to pay somebody $7. Because here's the thing that I don't feel like not anybody, like Amazon or whoever, like what they don't get. So I pay her $15 an hour, which I wish it could be more. But I mean, even in like where we live, that's a decent amount and everything. She also doesn't work a ton because I'm a small business. Like, I don't have that much business. But no, like, it's funny too. Like, it was somebody I knew. I didn't want to just hire someone I had no idea. Yeah. Because it was like, there's this person who I had put out on Instagram, I'm looking for an assistant. And then there's this person that I worked with at Smith's Garden Town, and she's just like, I saw that. I'm just kind of interested. So it's like, okay, I'd rather do this for you, or like do this with you and become friends and grow together and stuff, than just like finding whoever who will just do a shitty job. And when I told her what I wanted to pay her, and I was like, I'm sorry, it's not more. She's like, I thought it was gonna be like $8 an hour. And I'm nice. Like, no, because here's what I'm saying. Like, what people don't get is like, you're paying for someone's time, and time is, that is valuable.
Can't get it back.
You can't get it back. So it's not, first of all, I am paying her so that she will put boxes together nicely and make sure the whole order is correct and wrap things nicely and stuff, obviously. And I am also paying her to not be at home with her partner and to not be with her best friend. And she's a full-time student and artist. That's what she does. Like, I'm paying her to not work on her art. I'm paying her to not do homework right now because she's helping me. So I'll be damned if I'm gonna pay her nothing for that. Right. It's like I don't know when we stopped giving a shit about people's time. I know I'm like just ramped up.
No. Let's talk about it.
Literally though, it's like, if you're going to start a business and you have to hire someone even temporarily, like, you got to do something more than the minimum, because you're also like, if I were to just offer her $9 an hour, that's telling me I think that you're worth $9 an hour. And I've told her, I'm like, to be real, you help me and it's invaluable. It's more than $15 an hour, but that's what I can pay you right now. And she, like, you know, that works for us. And when you get into this, when you have to start hiring people or getting help, first off, like, reach out to people, or like, listen to people who want to help you.
Okay.
Like, if people are like, no, I'd love to help you do this, then like, okay, hire them. And then also pay them a decent amount, because they're not with their families. They're not doing what they want to do. They're here helping you.
Right.
So pay them well.
That's beautiful. I like your mindset on that big time. And I think that it's easier for your situation because you said that you don't work or 40 hours a week or whatever. Yeah. And that was always a concern of mine with hiring people is my thought was, what the hell am I going to have them do? And is there going to be enough work for the both of us, or at least for them? It's one thing if me, the owner and operator, doesn't have something to do and I can conjure up something. There's always something for the owner to do. Well, yeah. But in order to have someone's livelihood in your hands, so to say, right. And I know that your person is, a student and an artist, and she's got other things to do. But if I was to hire somebody to drive a truck for me or, drive a tractor for me, I'm like, that's a full-time gig. Yeah. And other people hire other people to do that 40 to 80 hours a week, and they could go to those other places. And I'm like, God, this is just nerve-wracking. So I was just, I say it all the time, I was just too chicken to have someone else's like livelihood in my hand. And also the liability that came with my other job.
That's a
scared me
lot.
so much. And then you got to think about the insurance that I was already paying liability insurance for myself, was going to skyrocket having someone else in there. And then when you deal with big semi trucks and stuff, it's already expensive for one. It's double, for two. It gets a little bit cheaper the more people you add, but it's just like so much goes into hiring a person full time, and that's what people in that position would want, is a full time gig for my last job. So it was just something that I wasn't prepared to do, and I'm glad that I held myself back from jeopardizing someone else's livelihood.
I think that's wise.
Yeah, and then thank you. And it was just like, I don't want to be, at the time, I did not want to be responsible for somebody else. Even though I needed somebody's help, I was like, I will do less in order to not infringe on someone else's, day to day.
For sure.
And so it was a hard one to battle with. And I even had some inquiries. I put a feeler out. Some people responded back, and I ended up not doing it because there's just too much into it. And then, but now I'm in a more controlled environment and very, very less dangerous. And then worst thing could happen is someone trip over a cord here, so, but that's why we got liability insurance.
Right. London might get a little bit of chamomile in her nose, but it's going to be okay.
A paper cut.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that you got to take into consideration when thinking about hiring somebody. I don't fully understand these people. Like, I've listened to Bill Gates startup, the Apple startup, all these different, of course, the social, what was that with Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook?
Social network.
Yeah. And it had the curly haired guy played him.
Yeah.
And anyways, they just had out of nowhere, like, the camera switches, and they had like 30 employees, and I'm like, y'all need to go back. You're talking about the computers and shit. We need to go back and hear that.
What was this?
Yeah, everyone's obsessed with coding and getting these Macs out, whatever, in the starting ages of the internet. Like, that's cool or whatever, but who's managing the people? That's what I want to know about. Who is delegating all this? And I heard someone say, I can't remember if it's a documentary or a podcast, but someone said in these big tech startups, it's basically a cult. Have you heard that before?
I have. I don't have experience. I have experience adjacent. I almost got sucked into one once.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it's. I won't call it a cult, but it is. I'm not going to name the company because it's a company here in town. But I moved across the country because they told me they would hire me, and then they didn't. And then it turned into, well, we could maybe pay you $1,000 a month, and then it's essentially the way that and now it's different, and now it's whatever. But the way that at the time things were going is it was just these few people who were starting it up. And so they just like lived, eat, ate, breathe, all of it. They barely earned any money.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of it, which was really weird to me, was but you're doing it for the good of the whatever.
Yeah.
And you ran into that as a lot as a teacher too. It's like, but you're doing it for the kids. And I'm like, what about me? Mm-hmm. And I'm so thankful. I was like beyond pissed, and I was mad because then I had to teach like 6th grade math, and like, cause I was living in Chicago teaching up there, and then I moved back, and then the whole thing fell through. And I'm talking like in the space of like, I moved back, and then like 3 days later, I was like in orientation at Barwise. Like, I'm talking, it was fast, and I was like, God damn it, like what? Now I have to do this math, and I don't want to do this. And it was a horrible year, or just hard. But I'm so thankful I didn't get roped into it, because it was just like this grind mentality, this like, we're just working for nothing, but it's because we're doing something great. But at the same time, there's always this like power dynamic of this one person who's kind of at the top, and it's like a little something, but that's fine.
And what does that remind you of one of mine and your favorite hobbies is the cult. Always do it for, whether it be the profit or the greater good, or doing it for.
But there's something you can tell. There's like something to them. Yeah, for sure. So, I almost got roped into one, and I'm thankful that I didn't
work out. And it's probably hard to imagine, like, dadgummit, I was just looking forward to this. I was getting excited about it.
Yeah.
And then for it to fall through, being like, shit, I
Yep.
really wanted to do that. But then being able to step back days or weeks later and being like, thank God I didn't do that. You know?
Yep. I had that moment a few months before the end of that year of teaching. I had that moment where I was looking at like a math star test, and I don't even want to get into how, but I was just like, I'm really glad that I didn't.
Nice.
I didn't do that.
Yeah. And you were making a livable wage after that too, because that other job didn't work out.
Right. And it's just very exploitative, but it's all, the vibe of it is just all very like, well, let me tell you why your concerns aren't so worrying. And let me tell you, like, I don't know, it's just very like, it's hyper charismatic, and I clock that shit. I'm like,
something's fishy about this crackhead mentality you got going on. Or crackhead energy.
I'm just like, I don't know. I've also like, I don't want to call anybody a narcissist or whatever, but like I've been with somebody in the past who was very narcissistic. And so because of that, I feel like I can kind of clock when people are power hungry or like trying to convince other people to do with it what they want. Not like narcissism, but like I can clock those techniques. And I ignored it at first with that company. I felt it the whole time we were in talks for a few months, but I was just like, no, I feel like I'm supposed to come back. I'm supposed to do this, whatever. And I'm very thankful it never worked out.
Thank God. Because I mean, now you're doing something that you actually love for yourself, you know? But have you ever been roped into a MLM or pyramid scheme?
No, but people have tried.
Thank God. Okay.
I did get a DM one time on Instagram from this woman that I baristed with in college, but she didn't like work the same shift as me. Like we weren't friends really. We just like worked together some. She was nice.
Facebook friends?
I think we were like Instagram mutuals or something.
They like to hone in on their.
Yes. And she like sent me all these like, hey, you have this perfect personality. And I just like really feel like you'd be interested in this, because I was also talking a lot about like veganism at that time. And she's like, and this thing is like all natural. I feel like you'd really, and I had never been approached by an MLMer before. And so I mean, I know what they are, but like, no one had, so I didn't know that was a tactic. And so I was like, oh, sure. What is it? So then she sends me a bunch of voice memos and she's explaining what it is. And it was like this, she was describing like Herbalife, and my stepmom used to sell Herbalife and do Herbalife and stuff, which, you know, everybody, whatever. But
everybody does.
Everybody did Herbalife at some point or another. Like, I'm not hating on Nikki. It's fine. And, but anyway, so I like it. She just was telling me, it was like, oh, so you buy all this and then she was just describing, it was a pyramid scheme. And I wish I don't think I have the conversation on my phone anymore, but I responded and I was like, I'm not trying to be rude, but is this an MLM? I was like, it just kind of sounds like an MLM. And I don't even remember her exact response, but she read it and then it just had seen for like a while. And then she responded and she was like, it is kind of like a multi-level thing, but I felt like it's been way blah, 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 blah. And then I just was like, I'm not interested, thanks. But no, they'll go after you.
The funniest thing about it is most people, the general term is pyramid scheme. Yeah. And then there's a legal definition for both of them that separates the two, MLM from pyramid scheme.
I didn't know that.
And then that's what everyone rides on, because the normal person will be like, this sounds like a pyramid scheme. And they can legally back themselves up saying this is not a pyramid scheme, because a pyramid scheme majority of their sales or money coming in is from people buying into be a salesman or whatever the term is, the team member. And then the other, say, 49% of the money comes from the products they sell. But a pyramid scheme, majority, 51%, comes from the membership. You know, so basically you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're getting that money from the bottom, and it all, and it all comes from the bottom of people joining in, and more people getting more people to join in to pay the large royalties at the very top. And but they'll say this is not a pyramid scheme, and they're right. if they're, companies selling more products than they are
Right.
memberships or
But it
whatever.
is an MLM.
But it is an MLM, and we all know that how lame all those are. I mean, if that's your thing, go for it. But don't try fooling other people into being like, it's not what you think it is.
That's my only thing. I'm just like, if you want to sell Herbalife, call a spade and be like, yeah, it's Herbalife.
Yeah.
Like I know it's
Yeah,
Herbalife,
call a spade
but
a spade.
I like it, and if you want it, I got the hookup. Mad respect. I don't have any issue with anybody being like, because everybody has got at least one or two things where you're like, I know this isn't like great or this isn't like the best, but like I like it, so fuck it. Like everybody's got something like that. And if Herbalife or Mary Kay is your thing, you go right ahead, honey.
Yeah.
I don't care. But don't turn around and be like, it's different. No, it's not.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
different. Like,
And then I always had a joke like, there's so many of these companies that have the same exact products that they're probably getting made in the exact same factory with two different labels at the end of the line.
Literally.
They all sell the same thing,
Yes.
But what kills me, and I guess each is different, when people actually rent out or buy out brick and mortars and set up their own shops to sell MLM products, I guess you do own a business, or at least you're closer to being a business owner. But you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about.
When people are just the online only or in person to person, and then here, sign this, fill it out, I'll buy it from me, and then in a couple days I'll bring you your shipment. What kills me is that you're not a small business owner. You are a cog in a huge machine. And it drives me up the walls because you
want to own your own business?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to as well, but I don't either. But would you like to?
Hey, Queen. I know we haven't spoke since high school. But
stop. It's all the emojis and like the bow
Yes.
and the hey and
Yes.
like the. Have you ever wondered in like a thought bubble what it would be like if you just said no with a little girl going to plastic, like or
Yes.
whatever, and it's like.
Or,
Okay.
hey, Queen, have you been thinking about...
Hey, boss babe.
Boss babe, that's
Sorry,
the big one I'm looking for.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's the boss babe. Hey, boss babe, I'm looking for 3 other boss babes that are interested in making passive income. That's always the hot one.
Do you want to own your own business and make passive income? And I'm like... I know right now you and I are just kind of like talking shit,
Yeah.
but really though, because there's also even like a difference, because here's where I get hung up. I'm a Gemini moon, so I see all the sides of things, and I'm like, okay, well, also their general stores exist as well, where like you're not making something, but you can go and like purchase a thing or whatever, but it's still, because then I'm like, okay, like for instance, like resupply. Casey is purchasing herbs from other people and then reselling them, but it's not that though.
Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to, it's not like she's trying to get more people to like join the club and sell the thing. It's like, she's just a business. And, and I know that that's not like like the Herbalife brick and mortars. I know that they're not necessarily trying to do that. And there are there's a couple of places like in town that are like the Herbalife stores and stuff, that are like, they're open 9 to 5 and like, those people work and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not saying that that's nothing, and I'm not saying that it's not work. But in terms of like managing your own LLC, paying taxes on the business, all of that, and like even just having kind of like a general say in like what you sell.
Exactly.
You have no autonomy, and it's like if you want to have a Herbalife store, you go right ahead, but like don't. It just feels a little bit of like a slap in the face, because I'm like,
that's what gets me.
I'm in my like 50 square foot little office, just like making things, like doing my best, and like you're selling something that is, it's fine if it's pre-made, that's okay. Like it's just, there's no personality to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm realizing that I need to like unpack my judgment toward MLM, brick and mortars a little bit more, because like it's still work. But
It is.
I understand what you
they
mean.
take on a lot more responsibilities. So I kind of feel like they're 2 different animals, but who we're talking about. Just the people that don't have the brick and mortars, that don't do anything besides hit up their old Facebook friends or the people that they haven't talked to in years. And what kills me is the ones that can't, they'll reach out in like a just post on Facebook and they can't say exactly what they're doing right away. Like, are you looking for a good idea or a good passive income, Queens? Because
Queens.
and then you can't get the info out of them until they DM you and start their sales pitch, and that's what kills me. But
Yeah, it's
another
like, just be
one,
upfront.
I was actually bitching about this morning was, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me at all.
Same.
But dude,
I know. We're just talking.
there was someone I saw on Facebook, and names don't have to be named, but it said owner and CEO of such and such a business on their Facebook. And so I Googled, can you be a sole proprietor and be a CEO? And basically the results were, if you own your own business, you can call yourself whatever you want to.
Yeah.
But I
could call
Googled
myself a CEO if I want.
exactly. But a CEO is a chief executive officer. And then with officers comes a board of councilmen or, council people, whatever, and more officers. Whenever you're everything, you're not just a CEO, you're the owner and operator. Yeah. And so that, it doesn't affect me at all. But dude, it's just like, for some reason I think of what's his name off. Do you watch The Office? Mm-hmm. He's over Michael and them, the actual CEO.
It's not Todd Packer. It's oh my God, David. Fuck.
People are going to watch this and be screaming at the thing.
Sorry. Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. The tall guy who wears glasses on The Office. It's Michael's boss.
I'll remember it later.
I get to thinking about him and I'm like, that's a CEO. It's on a fake TV show, but I'm like, that's a CEO.
Right.
You know, it was someone that has other officers around them and other council or a board of directors around them. Like, just the whole wanting to start a business and then just to call yourself a certain title. I'm like, you're in it for the wrong reasons, dude. Like, you need to be, it kind of takes us back to the same thing that we were talking about earlier of you need to go into this to make yourself happy and to do the service or products that you can provide for people needs to benefit your psyche as well, I guess.
But
you need to love what you're doing rather than just, shoot. It happened. So just unscrew that.
Unscrew this?
Yeah, okay. Just back it out a little bit, and then we can cut this out.
No. I see now. Like, is it here that it's screwed? Okay. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
I want to get on the table.
Yeah. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll loosen this up. You want to move it a little bit more?
Okay.
Easier to swing.
Okay, great. There we go. Anyway,
No problem.
we were talking about being a CEO, if you want to call yourself one. Yeah, and I like, okay, so we're just like getting into it because you were like, it needs to benefit your psyche and stuff. I would agree. And what's funny is I feel like, again, with our generation, that is something that we're learning. Like, oh, like if you're actually happy, you don't like act out on your kids as much. Funny. And again, it's been something that I've like thought about a lot lately with people in my own life and stuff. But it's like sometimes I feel like, I don't know if it's older generations or just like the business thing in general, but it's just like this, I got to make money, which valid, we all got to live, but it's like, you just, I don't know, like people live such a repressed life sometimes.
Yes.
It's so repressed and it's like, yeah, everything's fine. This is just how it is. And da-da-da. And I'm like, but it doesn't. And then also know that I'm saying this like with privilege, like I'm not from any area that is like, I don't have a color of skin that people are looking at me and already like judging me. Like I'm coming at this from privilege for sure. However, I feel sometimes like when people are like, well, it's just how it is, and they're suppressing it and they're just kind of like getting through life, but they don't have to. Like they can do other things. I'm like, why would you not want to do something that like benefits your mind and your soul?
Yeah.
And why are you neglecting this part of yourself because you're like, oh, it's fine, I don't care. Homie, when you laying up in that bed, I've had one near-death experience, and when you were sitting there and you were like, this might be the end. I don't know if I'm coming back. you are not going to care about all the business and that you're not going to care. You're just going to be like, am I ever going to see my family again?
Yeah.
So get your priorities right.
Yeah, exactly.
And do things that make you happy.
Exactly. And just spend your time doing, on things that make you happy and things that fulfill you. And it's like, why, if you're going to spend 40 to, 120 hours a week, why would you not want to be doing something that makes you happy?
Yeah.
And then even if, like, this is from my experience, like, even if it does make you happy during that 40 to 120 hours a week, like, what is your life like outside of work? And is your work that's making you happy diminishing your lifestyle outside of work? And that was a huge one for me, because it was like, everything is falling apart around me, and not like we were gonna get a divorce or anything, but just like our relationship, there wasn't having like that romance, and we were stressed out about this, that, and the other. And then the grass was growing up too tall because I didn't have time to mow, and then things that needed to be done around our house wasn't getting done because I was either tied up or too tired to do something. And so I had to just realign what was important to me. And then now I found something that works, that makes me happy, and I have time to do all that stuff.
And energy.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was, as a teacher, that was like a part of it, especially the first year me and Selena were together. I was like going into my third year of teaching, and she knew I loved it. But then like halfway through that year alone, she was just like, she's like, you're miserable when you leave, because you leave. And also at the time I hadn't been diagnosed with autism yet, and I didn't understand my own brain or energy levels or anything like that. So I was just like pushing to the nth degree, like the same as any other teacher, and beyond and whatever. And I would love the kids, and I'd be there with the kids, and then I'd come home and I'd have no energy to hardly talk. And just like that alone, it's like, it doesn't matter. Kind of like you said, it's like I do love the kids, and I love what I do, and blah blah blah, I'm good at it. But if I don't have energy for myself or my partner or my animals, like what's weird to me, and I guess it's because I've never had to be in a situation where I'm like, well, I just have to provide for my family. But it's just so interesting to me that you could be like, yeah, I make all this money and stuff like that. I come home and I'm annoyed with literally everybody. And isn't it weird how like you get the most mad at the people that you love the most?
Yeah.
You can get the meanest with the people you love the most.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. That can go unchecked. It's like you're close to them, you love them, so you're able to just like put all your shit onto them, and like, who cares if you're annoyed with them, because like they're not gonna leave,
right,
or whatever. And you have to like center yourself and be like, okay, no, like it's not fair. I just don't understand how the guilt never creeps in.
Yeah.
Because even throughout my teaching career, I would have moments where I'd like look at my cats and I'd be like, I haven't like sat down with y'all in so long and just watched a movie with my kitties, because I'm grading and I'm doing this, that, and the third. And I would feel guilty and be like, I need to make some changes.
Yep.
And I've never understood like how that guilt doesn't creep in, I guess. But yeah, it's like, if you can do, again, I'm privileged, I know that, but it's like, if you can do something that at least doesn't take up so much energy or time or something, that you can at least like have enough of energy to like go home at the end of the day and be like, you want to go have wine tonight? Let's go do that. Yeah. Like, I have a life now.
Exactly.
For the first time.
And that's what your partner and I talked about, was like how everything was breaking down or not falling apart, but just getting hard on y'all. And then now y'all are free and y'all are flexible, and then y'all can just hang out together and then just live life. And like I said earlier, when we were scheduling things, all three of us together, it was like, I'm flexible.
Yeah.
I'm flexible. But so basically, talking about the guilt that you just brought up, feeling it already, let's wrap this up. I feel like we've talked about a trillion different cool things, and I feel like we talked about several important topics for starting up a business and experience while in the business. I want to give you the floor to tag all your handles, plug in anything that you want to push on every single social media and website and everything else. So go ahead and tell them now.
Sweet. So you can find me on Instagram. I'm at the local Hedge Witch. So the local HEDGE witch, like a hedge. And I'm there on Instagram. I'm there on TikTok too, at the local hedge witch, but like I don't post there. I hate TikTok now. And then I have a website, thelocalhedgewitch.com, and that's where you can book a reading or get products and
all the goods,
stuff like that. Yeah. And I also have a Patreon.
Cool. Wait, what do you do on Patreon that's different?
And nothing really. It's not different. It's more like I have certain clients who like book readings with me so frequently that it's cheaper for them to like
have a subscription.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's just patreon.com/thelocalhedgewitch. And you do have to be like following me. I have to like know who you are in order to join it and stuff. But yeah, most people are just like, they pay $12 a month and they get a 3-card reading at the beginning of every month where I send a long video and I'm like, this is what I think.
Oh my gosh.
So,
we didn't even tap into that. But hey,
okay.
Next time, there can be a next time.
Totally.
And then maybe Selena can join us too.
That'd be great.
I mean, we can just think of anything. Maybe you know another hedge witch that can come with us or talk about it. But anyways, this was Britt Cooper and we got to learn everything, a lot of things about her business and life and her personality and thoughts on everything that she goes through as a small business owner. So remember, if you like this kind of stuff, like and subscribe and tell your friends. But thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hell yeah.
Oh, man, we clocked in some time on that.
I don't know how long that took, but...